So we'll go back. We'll set the tone here. We talked about this way back a few weeks ago, how preseason rankings in college is just fucking stupid. Let's just be real, guys. It is so subjective to opinion, to bias, to, the way that I analyze a player's stats and the way they play versus the next guy versus the next guy. And it's a fucking poll, okay? Like, it's way too subjective without any concrete data. So we're basically playing fantasy football with rankings at this point, okay? So we talked weeks past about, why not cut the ranks? Like, there's no rankings whatsoever, period, until after you finish week 4. So you have 4 games under your belt.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Rivalry Rundown. I am Alex Hartnett. I am here with Daniel Webb. It is just us two tonight. We are coming on a new day, Tuesday instead of Thursday. I figured we'd change this up so we can cover more of what happened over Thursday, Friday, into Saturday, Sunday, and cover Monday all on Tuesday. Because if we did it Thursday, I think everything would get lost in the sauce. Obviously, new weeks rolling and everything. So I just kind of wanted to change it up a little. So
well, I'm not going to be here anyways, so I think that's the bigger thing here. Let's just be real, everybody. He knew I wasn't going to be here Thursday through next Tuesday, so he wanted to go ahead and get this taken care of because he doesn't want to have to do it by himself, because I carry the weight of the world on my shoulders.
He does. He is the relief whenever I just say something outlandishly stupid, which is most of the time. So it's okay. It's not an issue. So
your crazy matches my crazy.
Hey, that's okay. That's all that matters, right? So big news. We launched a website today. That website is going to literally give you all the access to YouTube, all the access to our Spotify. We are going to bridge over to Apple. We got that up and running. So this episode is going to be the first posted over on Apple as well. And then, drum roll please, we are going to be doing some merch. Okay, so we're going to push out some products, not a lot, just some mostly sports theme based stuff.
Hang on.
So
you got to be clear when you say products, okay? Like let's be
clothing, not yes, there we go.
True merchandise line, some clothing items, things of that nature.
Yeah.
And no, we're not talking Lucky Underwear. I am not selling those guys.
You never know.
We're on a hot streak. We'll see. Win a natty or a Super Bowl again. I might sell those up there for everybody. Highest bidder. We'll do a bid. There we go. We'll do a bid war for my Lucky Underwear and my Lucky Socks. Everybody with me on that?
Not
cool.
washed.
I have to say, like, this is awesome. I know we're gonna get into NFL stuff here in just a minute, but I got my Philadelphia Eagles Reef flip-flops just a few weeks ago before the first game of the season, and I wore them some bitches on Thursday night, and it was fucking great. It felt wonderful to win knowing that I had my Lucky flip-flops that are now officially my Lucky flip-flops until they're no longer Lucky, okay? But why flip-flops, you may ask?
Because you live in Florida, so that's all you live in.
Well, there's that, but there's just something satisfying about getting pissed off and pulling that flip-flop off and just chucking it across the room, knowing that I'm not breaking a TV remote or something like that. So there's that. Unfortunately, I haven't found anybody to come hang out and watch football because they do know that those things will go flying and nobody wants to get hit by a flip-flop. But anyways, I
mean, hey, if that's the worst, then you and I probably should not watch football together, because I am up into the screen acting like I am their coach, like they can hear me. So like I am banned from a lot of houses from watching football. Like that's the problem. So
what I'm hearing is, because we're still working on this, and we'll kind of just put this out there in the ether. Alex is supposed to come down here to the white sandy beaches here of Florida sometime in the next month or two, and I feel like
maybe we should do a live
show.
Maybe
watching a game is going to be in order. Whether that is we
That's gonna be
do
rough.
whether that is we do some really cool like on-site, point of view stuff while we're in Tallahassee at a game and we piece that together and put a show up, or we do that and also have like some Sunday madness, watching some NFL games live. I can set everything up, man. I've got like 5 cameras.
I think
Trust me, I
you know
can make
what?
this work.
I think we should.
Between
I think we
between
should.
3 computers, 7 monitors, and like 5 cameras, I'm pretty sure I could set up a studio in that living room in front of that TV and we can make this work.
Man, I think we should. And I think what we should do is we should invite people to come on and jump in and just join us for the conversation about just anything and everything football at that time. So, but I will say,
I'll have the beers brewing and everything, man. It'll be a good time.
Exactly. I'm for it. I'm all for it. Like we can hit this little live feature on this thing and just go straight live and broadcast it to everywhere. So,
dude, I have it Friday night or Friday golf, Saturday in Tallahassee, Sunday watching football, and then Monday we're going offshore fishing. We're gonna hit the cycle, man, and have a blast.
Man,
I don't think the people here can handle. I don't think the people here can handle that many like clips and just everything. Like
maybe we just go live for it all. Maybe we just go straight live, no end, while we're sleeping too. Just straight live. I mean that's kind of weird, right? That's weird. No, okay.
Well, people do that. People actually. So just behind the curtain, people actually do that. They get paid really damn good money doing that.
It's like, why would I want to watch this? Watch you sleep? Okay, all right, whatever.
Well, there are some creepy people out there. Okay?
I mean, hey, there's people that sell like pictures of their feet. All right, and people buy
those people that are willing to sell their lucky underwear at the end of the stellar football season. Guys, it's gonna happen.
Oh my God.
I will make sure you get my lucky underwear.
Man, guys, I'm sorry. That is one contest I would not enter, but that's just me. Yeah. Whatever. All right, we're gonna get to some sports here.
Maybe I will send him to that dude from week 1 that was all pissed off about the Miami content.
I mean, I would assume he lives in Miami's because that's the only place where Miami people would. Probably accept
but
that.
Miami they don't even have underwear down there. So I gotta say this beer's really good, man. All right, let's get back on topic.
All right, so here we go. Couple of headlines, quick hits here for you. Rookie quarterback heroics. There was a lot of them, man. JJ McCarthy looked awesome last night. He started out a little rough, but started to, find his groove. It was rough to see Chicago lose that. I will say that, but we'll get into that game. Former top speeds in the NCAA ball. Man, this is 2 weeks in a row where we've had some big teams fall. And I think this week was worse than the first week. And I'm pretty sure
I'm very concerned about week 3. Let's just be real here.
This week is going to be some amazing football. There's some amazing games on, and we will go through each one here coming up this week. And I'm super excited for Saturday. I can't wait. And then a couple of gut-wrenching collapses. And man, I can't tell you, I have no words for what I witnessed on the field Friday night in Sao Paulo. And I will get to that. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant. It was bad from the start and it was bad at the end. So we will get to that. Again, we're going to be deep diving into the good, the bad, the ugly, statistics, and anything following college football, movie, NFL. That is a good movie, actually. So, all right. So let's jump into it. We're going to go to Friday night before we hit the Thursday night game because we did a recording while the game was going on for Philly and Dallas, and I was paying attention to it. Obviously, we did post that recording on Spotify. Unfortunately, our video was messing up a little bit, so it is not going to be on YouTube. But this one will be coming on YouTube this week. However, for that game Thursday night, we were watching it live, and I was mostly kind of honed into the game because just how lopsided that game felt. But we're going to kick off things on Friday night. Obviously, Chiefs, Chargers, Sao Paulo, Brazil. A lot of high expectations going into that game. A lot of things that I was seeing through OTAs, through camp, and then through preseason, and a lot of the same thing that I was saying. I was like, man, this team looks really good offensively. I'm really glad that we got a left tackle, and Kingsley seems to be holding his own. And that was pretty much true on Friday night. The line played really well outside of Juwan Taylor and a couple of rookie mistakes from from Sims, which is understandable. Like, that dude is going to have some nerves. He's going to have some things where he's, out of his element a little bit. It's his first NFL game. Okay. So it's 4 penalties I can take. I can take that. The 4 penalties that I can't take is Jawan Taylor. This dude has been in the league for 6 years, and this is the bane of my existence, is this.
We talked about this like 3 or 4 weeks ago, dude. I think it was our first show that we did. We talked about Jawan Taylor. And yes, I understand like he's a skyscraper as far as height and he's got all that length and everything. But my God, dude, like you've been doing this a long time. And, this became a really big prevalent thing, a couple years ago, where it was just like, I don't remember how many times in a row. It was just bam, 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 constantly.
It was the Detroit game. It was the first year. Remember when Chris Jones sat out? It was Jawan Taylor's first game. It was at home, and this dude was false starting. But he was never called for it. And so it's like, the adage is,
or just like, not lining up just not lining up in the correct formation. And my problem with that is like he knows this, and it's clearly evident that he knows he's doing this and trying to get away with it. If I'm the coaching staff, like what the fuck is going through my head at this point? Like that costs you so much to have that happen. And we talked last week, the week before, that the Chiefs cannot afford to have close games. They cannot afford to have those mishaps because they are not playing dominant on either side of the ball. And it is very clearly evident. Again, this was a big deal last year. You and I talked so much just in person about how wild it was that they were barely squeaking by. And yes, I know everybody says, oh, the refs helped them get through. Whether they did or didn't doesn't matter. The play on the field is what ultimately leads people to think that it took the refs to help them win the game. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like they were putting people away as somebody that's supposed to be a Super Bowl, contender every year. So whatever's going on in Kansas City, I'm not saying like it's a broken organization or everything's just, a dumpster fire, but there are these indicators, these little signals like this, like his penalties of like, what the fuck is going on the coaching side to not correct that behavior, because that ultimately costs you so much on the field. Yes, I can understand having penalties from a rookie, but 6 years, and this is the 3rd or 4th year in a row where we're having the same issues with the same person. Why are we still doing this? Sit his fucking ass, find somebody else to do it, or you got to correct the behavior.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, this offseason, he went in for knee surgery. We didn't know who was going to be our left tackle. We go get Jalen Moore from San Francisco, who backed up Trent Williams, probably the best left tackle in football. And then all of a sudden we pay this dude this astronomical amount of money. Then Simmons falls to us and we're like, holy shit, we don't need a left tackle anymore because we probably got the best left tackle in football because nobody wanted to take a risk on his injury. All right, perfect. Hands down, great. Then I had a wonderful bitch fest about like, why the fuck did we just pay this dude all this money for him to be a glorified backup? I understand depth 100%. Now this is where the point comes to it. It's like, I would be going to Jawan Taylor and look at him and be like, if you false start one more fucking time, I'm going to put fucking Jalen Moore in at right tackle. At this point, I'd even take fucking Wanye Morris over on the right side just to get something through him to say like, dude, I have the ability to sit you. Yes, we are paying you a lot of money, but the problem is that you consistently get flagged. I mean, it's a problem whenever you get Travis Kelce in the middle of a huddle. And we'll talk on this point where it like that is something that I have not seen from a Chiefs team in a very long time, where players get after other players. But when you have Travis Kelce in a huddle getting in the face of Jawan Taylor, that is alarming. Then on top of it,
here's my thing. Like, I don't know what his contract is, right? I don't know what incentives he has in it. I don't know what his game day incentives. I don't know how all is structured out entirely, right? But as an organization, even if the sitting isn't going to be the end all be all, right? Because he's still going to get paid if you just sit him, right?
100%.
Like
100%.
As an organization, I have the right to fine your ass for being a problem.
By the way, he is the second highest paid player on that team this year.
Yeah, but that's my point. Like, if great, you have this great contract, but like, dude, you are costing us and hurting us in the long run. This is not the first year. This has been a consistent thing. Me as an organization, shouldn't I start imposing things on him? Shouldn't I hurt his pocketbook for hurting my gameplay?
Yeah, I mean,
and to your point, if I put somebody else in there at right tackle that maybe they're not as good, right? Maybe we have some concern that at right tackle with whoever the backups are, we might be a little soft over there. We might need some additional help. I have a very mobile quarterback and I have a great team around him that we can adjust our play style and go the other direction. Clearly, the dude can still levitate, 7 inches off the ground and still manage to get a ball, 10 feet or 10
I
yards
know
down the
that throw
field. I
was
mean,
insane.
all of this stuff is still there, but none of that matters if you're constantly going backwards because of some dumbass that can't line up either correctly in formation or is always a false start. Got to hit him where it hurts. Got to make sure that he corrects the behavior because that cannot happen.
Well, his contract is a base salary of 19.5. His signing bonus was 7.3 with some change. He had a workout bonus of 500K, and then his guaranteed salary is 20 mil. So, like, the dude is getting paid. He's the second highest paid player right now on that team for this year, and he is in his technical final year because it's a team option next year. So I guarantee you they're dumping him next year to save one cap space because our cap is fucking hell next year, which is adage to Patrick Mahomes and fucking Chris Jones. So that's for next year. That's a next year
and
problem.
that's for next year because does Kelsey even come back next year, right? And that could clear up a lot of cap
I don't
space.
know.
And
I don't know.
Like, what do you do with everybody else?
And so, like, Jawan Taylor just kept on getting these flags and flags and flags, and then we have Jalen Moore sitting on the sideline, and it's like, how much more leniency are you going to give a dude before you start making the corrections? Because one, it's clearly frustrating players that you've been now 3 years with the Kansas City Chiefs, and we've had the same fucking issue over and over and over. Now, however, when he doesn't get penalties, he is a good right tackle. Is he the best? No. But can he hold his own? Yes, he can. So I understand there is some leniency that you give to a guy that has the skill set to play at that position. But something's got to change. Something's got to change with that dude to understand, like, you can't keep fucking up. Because if you notice, Kansas City loves playing these one-score games. So it's just like, what the hell is it going to take for you to understand? Now, granted, I understand you're coming off a knee injury. I understand you didn't get a lot of snaps through camp. I understand you maybe you were still a little rusty. Okay. But if it happens this weekend, then we're going to start having another talk and another issue and another problem. Is this going to be the same thing repeated year after year after year? Outside of that, that's the only gripe that I had with the line. Kingsley did fairly well. He did give up a little bit of pressure. Obviously, that fourth down throw or that fourth down heave to Brown down the middle. I don't know why that dude was wide the fuck open, but he was. That's where the pressure came from, Kingsley. Other than that, I think he held his own pretty fine. The other problem, man, losing Xavier Worthy hurts. I will tell you, just from my point of view, it looked like Travis Kelce got bumped out of his route, laid off the line, and as he got bumped, he's supposed to clear under Xavier. And unfortunately, since he got bumped out of his line, the DBs are supposed to. So technically, realistically, this is how it's supposed to work. Travis Kelce is supposed to go at least probably 8 yards cut and then go over. Well, it looks like he got bumped at 5 and Xavier is crossing at 5 yards. All right. So it clears out the DBs. So the DBs are supposed to kind of get into the way of each other because Travis Kelce is technically clearing them out. Well, he fucking cleared out Xavier Worthy. That's what he did because he got rubbed off on his route. And so that's what it seemed like. That's what it looked like. The injury did look pretty bad. I knew as soon as it happened, I was like, that is a dislocated shoulder. I literally looked over at my wife and I was like, he just dislocated his shoulder. Like, there is no way. And I didn't even just see the sideline where they're just like taking his elbow, pulling it down, and then pushing back up on his shoulder. I knew instantly as soon as he hit, and because his arm flopped over, like he had no control of his arm. And I was like, that is a dislocated shoulder.
Having gone through that a couple times, it was very obvious right away.
It was very obvious. The only thing that I didn't see is I couldn't tell if it was an anterior dislocation or a posterior, because one image, it looked like he hit him straight on, which then would have been like a posterior. But the problem is it looked like he hit him from the side. So it could have been an anterior where it like hit here and then popped down. Right. So, because if you guys don't know, whenever you dislocate your shoulder, depending on where you dislocate it is depending on how they're going to reset it. They're not always going to reset it the same way. It's not always pull down, push back. Sometimes it's pull down, pull out, and pull. So it just depends. So I'm sure we'll get more news. I do know that he's day to day. Andy Reid did come out and say day to day, which sounds promising. Doesn't sound like there's anything major other than maybe like an AC joint sprain. That's kind of what Tyreek Hill had a couple years ago when he was playing with us. He did miss about 3 games with that, and then came back fine. However, I think Xavier Worthy is going to be in some type of brace. We'll see how it works, but the potential of re-injuring that shoulder is pretty high. Any type of dislocation, anything that you do, that could be elbow, knee, shoulder, your chance of re-injury goes up. Now, I flash back to when the last time we had Patrick Mahomes QB sneak, he dislocated his kneecap. However, his kneecap literally immediately went right back into place. So that's why he didn't have to lose as much time, because it was only like a very slight dislocation and then went back into place. No ruptures, no strains. Obviously, you're going to have some tendons and ligaments get inflamed just because of that synovial joint fluid buildup. But other than that, like it wasn't as bad as what I believe Xavier Worthy is. It's good that they have him in rehab already. That's probably going to help. He is going to be sore, and we'll see. I'm sure the day-to-day is because they just don't know realistically how much he's going to tolerate and whether he's going to be comfortable in that brace, because if he's not comfortable in that brace, they're not going to put him out there. And
Now, if he goes for surgery, I'll make sure to go down 20 minutes down the road, and I'll get his autograph at the rehab facility.
right,
for
because
Andrews.
I'm sure we'll probably go. I think a lot of guys go to that place down in
He'll
Florida.
be at Andrews. Yep, he'll
I'm
be at
sure
Andrews.
a lot of them do. So it just, that was the only bad part. Offensively, I'm going to start from the first and the second quarter. Offensively,
Well, I did want to say though, so I understand where you're coming from with the whole Kelsey injury or Kelsey hitting him and everything, but that's not what I heard. What I heard is that Xavier Worthy either like gave Taylor a dirty look or something a couple
oh
weeks
my
prior,
God.
and Travis found out about it, was pissed off, and like it was
Took
planned.
him out,
like
put him hit,
like he was just like just done. Yeah.
So what do they go on the
Taylor-
sideline?
Taylor was mad, told Travis about it, and Travis is like, "All right, I got this." And like it was, I have a video of it. I'll have to send it to you later.
I mean, I'd be very curious. Do you have the lowdown of the lowdown? Okay, all right. Jeez, that's, man, taking that out on your own players, man. You ain't getting there, Taylor. Oh, God. Well, I will say this: whether what people want to see online, and I know you're joking and everything, but the thing is like, that's crazy. Like that's a whole crazy thing that people online are going, oh, he deliberately did that. He did blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, for what reason? For what reason would he have to hurt his own player? Like, that doesn't
So he
make
could
sense.
get more. He could get more balls thrown at him that he can miss or drop.
Well,
let's talk about that, shall we?
We'll get into that, because my gosh, I have never seen somebody give up on literally a 5-yard fucking slant like he did.
Bro, did you see Mahomes though? He was like, "You got to run, like
run, run. Why did you stop?
Why aren't you running?"
Like, my God. So it's just like the crazy thing is like, first and second quarter start. Obviously, we open up with the ball, and I'm like, all right, here's the time to just prove to everybody your offense is different from previous years. All right, we're not going to start out the way that we've always started out, but it was a little unorthodox for them to come out completely flat. Didn't want to run the ball, didn't want to move the ball. Like, I understand they're trying to bring back the deep ball and everything, and you have guys that have the ability to do that, but you can't have Xavier Worthy get hurt on the third play of the year. 1, 2, you have to mix in some runs. Like you have to be able to run the ball, and you have to design runs that are quick to your running back. And I'm sorry, the reason why I was so much on Pacheco potentially not being the number 1 running back at some point in the season is because his vision is absolutely horrible. It is not there. And the only reason why he breaks off for big runs is because his line gives him big holes, and he is quick, and he is a big guy. I'm not saying that he's not a good running back, but I'm just saying if his vision is lacking, he is going to consistently run into holes that he thinks are there, and then they just close up, and then it just kills the play. So it's just, one, you can't start off the game the way we started off. Just very flat, very unmethodical. Just, it felt like I was watching a Pee Wee football team go out there playing against a high school team. And I was like, Jesus Christ, like, this is awful. This is horrible. And then it comes like the whole first half of football, our offense just, I don't know if it was like nobody understood the plays, nobody understood what they were calling. Like it just seemed like Pat was constantly having to direct people, where to go, when to motion, when to not. Like it just, I don't know. It just seemed very chaotic. And it's like, were you guys not mentally prepared? Did you go into the game thinking like, oh, you know, we beat the Chargers 7 times in a row, this is no different. And maybe that is. It wasn't. I don't know. But I would assume, new year, new thought, like we just got embarrassed and, the Super Bowl, we are coming out here gonna like, present our will to, the universe and basically just, take no bullshit and just fucking drive it down your throat. Like that's what I thought it was gonna be. I thought they were just gonna come out firing, and before they knew it, it was gonna be 24 to fucking 7. And like, yeah, good luck. Well, that is not what happened. The Chargers look fucking phenomenal. They looked very well coached. They looked very well within their abilities. They could run the ball. They could throw it. It doesn't help that your defense is giving fucking 10 yards to every wide receiver. I mean, Herbert threw 85% to receivers, and that is an astronomical amount that he has never done
And he had
against the
time.
Chiefs. And he had time.
Let's be real. He had way too much time. He looked so comfortable. He
He
was
did.
not shaken up.
He did.
It was just, he had his way.
Well, it doesn't help that your front four gets no pressure, none, zero.
Right.
You have to, Spags has to then go into going, all right, so now we got to do exotic blitz packages. And the only time that they did get him sacked, which is 3 times, was one was just because of a scramble behind the line. The other 2 were from Drew Tranquil, and that's it. And the one blitz that Drew Tranquil decided to absolutely level Herbert was a blitz that he didn't even know was coming, because Drew Tranquil is lined up on the outside of the DN, acting like he was going to go in coverage. And then as soon as the ball was hiked, he broke inside between the DT and the D end, and Herbert had no idea that he was blitzing. So a good blitz cover, like it worked. But the fact is like, you can't do that all night. Like you can't just be in blitz packages all night, because then he's going to pick you apart, because then your other guys have to play in zone, or they have to play in man, and you have to get some type of pressure with the front line. And that is not what happened.
Because he's just
Like,
going to start dinking and doinking and just dropping the ball, which is what he did half the time anyways.
Exactly. Like, and all this other things that I just saw from the defensive side of things was just people in miscommunicating, people in wrong spots, people not knowing their assignment. Jamari Connor, I don't know why you're playing 30 snaps at slot and Trent McDuffie's only playing 11. Please riddle me that, Batman, because one, Jamari Connor is not a corner. He is a fucking safety. And I have no idea why we don't have either Josh Williams, or I understand Christian Fulton only played 15 snaps, but dude, I don't care if you miss 2 preseason games. You got to get the fuck in there and get over your damn knee thing and figure it out. Like you came over here from the Chargers because we knew that you could be an outside corner, and that could kick Trent McDuffie back to the slot, where he is probably one of the best corners in football at the slot. And it just carved us up all night. Jaden Hicks gave up a lot of yards. Jamari Connor gave up a lot of yards. Cook gave up some yards. I'm pretty sure he gave up 50 yards, 2 receptions, 25 yards each. And so it's just, the secondary did not look good. I'm worried about the safety. I've been saying this ever since Bush went down, that they need to go get like Simmons or Jabril Peppers. Well, they can't go get Jabril Peppers because he's now with Buffalo. Simmons is still active, but it looks like New Orleans potentially is going to maybe vie for him. A couple of the teams potentially could vie for him. I don't know, but they need to do something at this point. Go get Christian Wilkins. Maybe he can draw some attention off Chris Jones, because that dude was being double and triple teamed all night, and yet we still couldn't get pressure. So it was just a sloppy game all around defensively. There was some good things. There was some okay things, but mostly it was bad. Mostly it was not something that I want to be taking into Sunday when we play Philly, the reigning Super Bowl champs, because we are going to get fucking embarrassed if that happens. And so it's just, the whole defensive side of things just looked horrible. It just did not change. And so going in at halftime, obviously kicking that miraculously 59-yard field goal looked like we were doing a fucking fire drill. And somehow I don't know how he made that, but then turns around and misses an extra point. What the fuck? Okay. And it just seemed like that first half, we were just flat across the board, flat on the offense, flat on the defense, flat on special teams. And we were lucky to go in at half and it was 13-6. Like, we were just lucky that it was that, we managed to stop them, have them kick 2 field goals, and we just gave up that touchdown. Trent McDuffie got tripped on that crossing route, and that's why Quentin Johnson was wide open on that first touchdown. All right, okay, fine. And that was I believe it was third and 10 or something like that.
Right, yeah.
Realistically, it could have been 9-6. It could have been, it could have been 21-6. I mean, as far as we know, but no, like I said, there was some good things, there was some bad things, and then there was some, oh my God, I really hope this doesn't carry things. Coming out at halftime, obviously watching that weird halftime show, which I'm sure is Brazilian fame or whatever.
It was the same thing that they did last year for the Packers.
Oh,
Eagles.
Was it? Okay.
It was all Brazilian artists.
Okay.
And
I mean, that's cool. It was cool. Yeah, it's fine.
It was all their culture.
But let's throw this little rumor out, okay? Kansas City did not wait for smoke to clear for them to come out of the locker room. I can guarantee you they were probably getting laid fucking into. Probably from everybody on that team to Travis Kelce, to Patrick Mahomes, to Chris Jones, to everybody, the coaches, because they did not come out with any intensity whatsoever. They just looked like they were going to roll into that game, steamroll them, or hey, we know it's going to be a 1-score game, and at the end of the game, we're going to have an opportunity to go down, kick a field goal, score a touchdown, win the game. And if that's your adage and that's what you think, then you didn't learn anything from the Super Bowl, and you didn't learn anything from last year. Not one thing. And that's where I have a problem, is you are the fucking Kansas City Chiefs. You are being compared to one of the greatest football teams of all time. And I've already said my claim on what we do and why we compare these teams when we shouldn't be doing that. They played in a different time. We play in a different time. Football is very different. However, the standards that we set for Kansas City are so much higher than anybody else's because of what they have done the last 5-6 years. All right. They have gone to Super Bowls. They've won 3 Super Bowls. They have gone to all these AFC championship games. They have just been there, done that, been there, done that, been there, done that, been there, done that.
All of that aside, collectively they've beat, for the most part, the best teams in the country.
Yeah, 100%.
In their various forms, some of the best players in their various forms, the best coaches in their various forms. So it's not just the championships and the playoff appearances and the Super Bowls and all that. It's just the consistent league play and against some of these great opponents. I mean, that speaks volumes.
Yeah.
That's great that you're making it to the playoffs, but you're only making it to the playoffs and winning the Super Bowls because of your league play against these stellar teams off these rosters that are stacked already.
Yep.
And you're showcasing what you can do against them. Yeah, it's very uncharacteristic because on paper, you should have no issue. And again, I'm going back to last year because it was so uncharacteristic to go from a high to all of a sudden, what the fuck?
Yep.
And you spent the whole year going, what the fuck?
Yep. I mean,
and then you go to the Super Bowl and you're like, okay, we got this. What the fuck? And then now here we are rolling into another season. And it's like, where did the change come? Because the whole offseason, all we heard is we are not that team this year. We're not going to be the same way. We are locked in. We're focused. We're ready to go.
Yep.
And then you go and you look at the pre-Brazil game, all of the interviews and all the different media stuff going on in the media days and the conversations. And it's just also lackadaisical, just chill, relax. There's no intensity. You got fucking Travis Kelce up there imitating Patrick Mahomes in a fucking interview. Like
where's our heads at first and foremost? If that is all the case and everything that you talked about the offseason, you didn't show it in the first half of that game. You
treated it like it was a preseason game.
Exactly.
And
that's not how
helpful.
You do that. It's not. And it's we have talked about this. We have talked about how the game last year between the Chiefs and the Bills, whoever won that, whether it would be Kansas City or Buffalo, was going to beat any team that NFC put out there. That is how it looked, it felt, because that was the two probably best teams in football outside of Philly, where Philly towards the end of the year just annihilated everybody. But going into that Super Bowl, I was like, whoever wins this AFC Championship is going to hoist that Lombardi. Like there's just no way. And then all of a sudden, the game started in the Super Bowl, and it's like, fuck, like not supposed to happen. But that was last year again, and like I only bring up that point because it's like you did get embarrassed in the Super Bowl. You did have some high moments. The second half made it look a little bit closer than it realistically was, but you got embarrassed
against the backups. But anyways,
well, it was
it was
against
against the bench.
a lot of rookies, and you know, like you would assume like Pat and Travis would be like, oh fuck, these rookies have no idea what's about to happen because you know this is the biggest game of your career, of your life. And yes, there is pressure. Yes, there is moments. I mean, Saquon Barkley, first time being in the Super Bowl, like how is he gonna play? Fucking phenomenal. Jalen Hurts, yeah, he's been there, done that, looked better than Pat on the year that he lost. So I knew he was going to come in going, I'm ready to just do whatever I have to do. And most of the receivers, like, were already there. So
And the
like,
line on
and the
both
line
sides.
and the line on
And
both sides. So it's like you knew if you gave an inch, they were going to take a fucking mile. And
yeah,
that's what you did. So now we go to Friday night, second half. They're coming out late of the locker room, and you can tell by the body language, like, we just got our fucking ass reamed. Like we just got fucking annihilated in there because you came out and basically looked like the defense that I thought you were going to be on that first series. I was like, okay, all right. Like if this is how it's going to go for the rest of the game, I'll be fine with it. Normally the Kansas City Chiefs are a second half team, and at least it's, 6-13. All right, that's fine. One score game. Let's do this. Go down the field, fucking march down the field, score, and then all of a sudden miss the field goal. And I'm like, shit. Okay. All right. So we had the momentum and now we lost it. And then all of a sudden, here comes San Diego. We fall right back into the same scheme that we had always been doing. Soft zone coverage on the back end, no pressure up front, and they're just picking us apart. And so then we go to man, and then they fucking run it. And then we go to another zone. They fucking dial it up. So it's like you gotta find a way to fix that defensive line, whether that needs to bring in somebody, whether that means Omar Norman-Lott needs to get healthy to provide some pressure off of Chris Jones because he is a run stopper. Like the whole worry going into this game was like, oh shit, our running defense isn't going to be that great, blah, blah, blah. They were fine. They were just fine. They held Omar Hampton to very minimal yards. Najee Harris barely touched the ball. And the only time they gave up big chunk yards was to Justin Herbert on scrambles, which that is a big dude that can move. Like Justin Herbert is a very mobile quarterback. And I didn't realize how mobile he was until watching that game.
very effortlessly too. Like
100%.
Doesn't even look like he's sprinting. He just kind of looks like he's just kind of walking with long strides.
Exactly. And so like there was no adjustments, no nothing. And obviously, please understand that football, you're not going to go in one half and then the second half change the complete game plan. You're going to make minor adjustments in coverage and particular play calls, because if a team is settling in offensively with a certain play or a certain play call or a certain play sheet, hopefully the defense can kind of adjust to it and force them off that game plan a little bit. Well, I'm sorry, LA didn't get off their game plan. Like they literally stuck to it the whole entire fucking night, and it worked for them offensively. They just picked our secondary apart, picked our safeties apart, gave no pressure. And again, that was against a Chargers line that had a sick right guard, a backup left tackle that was a left tackle in college, but moved to right tackle, but had to move back because Rashawn Slater got hurt. And then they had a backup right tackle. So you mean to tell me that defensive line couldn't get any fucking pressure on that line? Now, I will be eating my words as it comes down the wire and we're at the end of the season and they have the best offensive line of football. Okay, then I'll eat my words. But as of right now, they haven't proved enough to me to go, yeah, that is the best offensive line of football, because I still give it to the Philadelphia Eagles as of right now. The only reason why I don't give it to like Buffalo, or I don't give it to Denver, or I don't give it to Kansas City, one, Kansas City's got a lot of unknowns, what's going to happen with that left side. Denver hasn't done enough as of yet to give it for me to give it to them. They do have a good offensive line, and Buffalo can't seem to break through. But I don't know. Sunday night obviously showed some very different things. That was a fucking crazy game. We will talk about that. But second half, offensively, they started to move the ball. But the problem that I have with that, if you notice, the way that they moved the ball is they were doing it off of short, dink passes the whole entire time. Now, I want to say that's because the Chargers secondary was giving them about a 5-yard cushion every fucking time. So they were just kind of like, yeah, we'll give you the underneath, but we're not going to let you beat us over the top. Like we're just not. And
which
and
is
which I
characteristic
I
because I mean
understand.
that's typically what ends up happening, right? Is you play up too tight, and then that's usually when Kelsey, and it's usually Kelsey, and we saw that in that game,
Right.
gets a wild, crazy little hair, and he gets just kind of worms his way through, and he manages to kind of pick that apart. So it happened, but ultimately you want to try to eliminate that as much as you can. So yeah, you're going to give that little buffer because at some point the field's going to get short,
Yeah. Right.
and
Right.
that's what you want to play up against.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And so, getting down in the red zone, I'm like, the one thing that was the downfall of Kansas City last year is we were the fucking worst team in the red zone. And I was like, that is something that you have to change. You have to be able to score touchdowns, not kick field goals. That's the
Yep.
only reason why last year you had so many games that were one score, is because you could move the ball, but you failed to score touchdowns. Like, I don't know if it's a play calling thing. I don't know if Andy Reid thinks that, certain play calls only work at the goal line. Well, at that point, I'd be like, open the fucking whole playbook at the goal line. Figure it out. Don't do
bring
these
back the
trickery
snow globe
plays.
at this point. Like, do
I mean,
something.
do something. Do something at this point whenever you're in the red zone to move and get touchdowns. Stop kicking
You think
field goals.
we should teach him the Philly?
I mean, I think you should teach him the fucking tush push. That's what I think we need to do.
We know Patrick is not doing the tush push. Okay,
no.
there's no way that.
I mean, at this point, I'd put Noah Gray in there and be like, Noah, like, you used to be a quarterback. You're going to be a fucking guy that goes in there during tush pushes, and like put like fucking Chris Jones and like George Karlaftis back there just to fucking push. Like, do something. I don't know. Open something up, because red zones were still the fucking issue. Still the issue, because the score to Travis Kelce, I don't know if it was a broken play. I don't know what it was, but, wide open 34, 40-yard touchdown. Okay, great. Love it. Love it.
It really did look like they choked up too much.
It did.
And that safety over there was not paying attention. Like he watched the corner move in, and they were kind of moving in on everybody else. And like I said, Kelsey just kind of like went out and then just literally split through the gap and was wide the fuck open. And that safety was trying to work that outer edge. It was just no way. Like, it was
and
not much you can do about that.
And the good thing is like, I go back to this offensive line, because that was the most time that I've seen Pat have in a very long time to throw the ball. And that's where I was like, okay, clean up some penalties, continue to do that, because the Chargers have a good defensive line. Like, we're not going to take that away from them. They do have a good defensive line. However, penalties kill drives, and Juwan Taylor getting that many penalties killed a lot of momentum. And it came at the most horrible times. I think he had 2 false starts in the first half and then 2 holding in the second half. So it's like, man, like, you got to clean that up, because you are now giving Pat time to throw. Last year was a very different story. I mean, it was his worst time of throw, worst amount of pressures, worst QBR, I believe, throughout his career, because his line was just so bad. And so this year, like, you look at the line in the second half, and I was like, oh, you guys, you're playing fine. You're playing okay. You're finally getting able to move the ball. You're finally opening up some things. But damn, they need to fucking run the ball. I understand you don't have realistically really good running backs, and, you don't have a team. And I sat there and watched game after game on Sunday, and I was like, have a good running back. Have a good running back, have a good running back, have a good running back, have a good running back. And I'm like, seriously, like, if you put a dynamic player in the backfield where teams have to scheme for him, that opens up everything else. It does. And the last time we had a really good running back was Jamal Charles. And that was it. And that was a total different team that was operating at that time. So it's like Kansas City, I would have loved for them in this past draft, and like round 3, go get a running back. Get a running back that will actually give you the ability to kind of put some fear in that defense, at least over the linebacker and the defensive line. Because if you can get a running back that gets to the second level consistently, like like Barkley does, constantly, like, then you have to start playing down. All right. As your safeties have to start coming down and filling the box, because to help stop the run. And then that opens the air raid. So it's like, where is our running backs at? So that's why I've always been on this. I do not think Pacheco is going to be the number one running back very much longer if he continues to run the way he does. I would give it to Kareem Hunt and then go Elijah Mitchell as your third down back, as your receiving back. But so we move into the fourth quarter, and I'm thinking like, all right, guys, this is still a 1-score game. Like, this is still doable. I don't know why you go for 2. You might as well kick the field goal, go down by 1, get a stop, and then you have all the time in the world to kick a field goal and go up. I don't know why we did that, but whatever. All right, I guess you're trying to tie the game. And it was very unorthodox for Kansas City not to get that stop on that crucial third down, where it was like 3rd and I think like 14 or 3rd and 15, something like that. Chris Jones, you're smarter than that, dude. Like, you can't bait to the tackle. The tackle baited you inside. He kicked way far outside to pull containment away from you. And then you did the one thing that he wanted you to do, break inside, because then that loses all containment on that weak side, because you have it stacked over to the left and one receiver on the right. And so it's going to clear that right side out, and there's no coverage over there. None, because you have to pull linebackers over to the other side because your running back is on the left side. And you were the only person that had that containment on the outside, because linebackers, technically, if you start seeing a quarterback break inside, they're going to fill the gap back.
Well, here's my thing.
It was just awful. It was awful. Like, Kansas City, yes, they deserved to lose. They did not play good enough. I was hoping at the fourth quarter that they were going to win 28-27, figure it out, get the ball back, go down, score a touchdown. You still had, I think, 3 or 2 timeouts or whatever, maybe even a timeout. But it was so unorthodox. So it just looked bad. The crazy thing is here's a crazy statistics. Kansas City had 249 yards passing, 98 yards rushing with a total of 347. They were 10 for 71, 10 penalties for 71 yards, 10. And we're talking about one of the least penalized teams last year. No, it's not because the refs were in their pocket. They are technically, statistically, the worst flag team in the fourth quarter in fucking the last decade of football. So please don't give me that bullshit. And second of all, they held the ball for 27 minutes and 16 seconds. The Chargers had 304 passing yards, 90 yards rushing, 394 total, and they were 6 for 53. And the only reason why it was so close is because your 5 penalties that the Chargers got came in the second half. And most of them happened on defense. And they held the ball for 32 minutes and 44 seconds.
I'll say this, just kind of going back to the running back situation. Like, it's great to have Pacheco and those guys. I mean, it's not like you guys have a bad running back room. Let's put it that way. Between Pacheco and Kareem Hunt, those guys, they're not bad running backs, but you don't have a power back, period. You don't have anybody over 216 pounds, and they're all 5'10", 5'11" most. They are small backs. They're built for speed. They're built for cuts. They're not power backs. You look at guys like Saquon, who's 6 foot, 230 something pounds. Derrick Henry's 6'2", 230 something pounds. Like, those guys are big, powerful guys, and they still run really fucking fast. You got to have a balance. If you're going to have a small back, you have to have a power back. You have to have a power back. You cannot expect any one of those guys to power through a line to get you 2 yards when you need it. You can't expect those guys to be able to blow open the hole, because that's what you ultimately are going to have. You can't rely on the line to always give you the gap. Having a guy like Derrick Henry or Saquon Barkley, these guys that are power backs or just slightly bigger, they don't have to be a full power back, but they're slightly bigger. They've got more muscle there, more power to get through the line. They're helping the line.
Yeah.
They're physically wedging that open, even if they only get 2 or 3 yards, but they're wearing down that defensive line more so than your offensive line ever could. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, your offensive line, they're going to try to get a push of a couple yards, but they're just more so trying to direct. It's more of a stand up and kind of get you out of the way. Whereas if I'm a running back and I'm powering through that line, I'm running your ass over. And that's going to wear you out even more, because now you're trying to push back more against a solid, heavy push versus just somebody trying to stand you up. You guys have to, and I agree, you have to get some sort of a power back in there. You got to have something that you can pull to do, because Mahomes isn't going to run through that gap. It doesn't matter if he can truck a small little cornerback out on the edge. I mean, great, good for you, but you're not going to use him for a power run.
No, no. I mean, he
You
is not
have
built
nobody
from
for that.
to do that. And so it's like,
I mean, you guys don't even have a fullback that you could go throw in there. That's, I mean, something, man. Like, what happened to, let's talk about that. What happened to the fucking days of having a fullback on your roster? And that's
yeah,
all they were there for. You line up in the fucking eye, you hand it off to the fullback, and he just powers through the fucking line. What happened to those days? Obviously, I get now we've evolved. You know, Philly decided to reinvent the game all over again, and now we do a modified, you know, QB sneak, and everybody wants to go that route. Guys are getting
right.
bigger. But holy shit, man, the days of the fullback, it's literally what they were there for. And
It
so many teams
was.
would bring in a freaking defensive lineman to
Yep.
be your fullback for a play. Like, do something different.
Yep.
You need 2 or 3 yards. Do something different. You can't rely on the trickery because everybody knows your playbooks, guys. They already know what you're going to do. They already know how Mahomes is going to act. They already know that short yardage, he's going to look at Kelsey. You know, you just lost Xavier Worthy, so that's a stretch run right there. He's not going to air it out to everybody anymore. You don't
Yep.
have Rashee Rice. So what are you going to do? A Hollywood Brown? Okay, that's great. We can keep him contained. Now what? What are you going to do now?
The only other guy that you got that is speedy is his first year in Kansas City organizations, and that's Thornton. And
Right.
so
So what are you going to do?
like you got to build that trust up, and obviously a little bit of it's there, but his, you know, the 4 deep passes that Pat threw on, he missed on 2 of them,
Yeah.
and so it's like
I mean, and Juju's quick, but he's not your speed wideout. Like
no,
he's your hands guy. So I mean, like there's still life there. Okay. There, all in all, everything in perspective, there is still life there. There's still one of, if not the best lineups in the NFL still there. There's still the best coaching, if not one of the best, still there. But they've got to get the little things sorted out. And
yep.
big things like the penalties are going to kill you every time. Not being able to get the short yardage games, that's huge. And you're not wearing down those defensive lines the way that you need to.
I mean, listen to
The
this.
Chargers walked into this. The Chargers walked into this like, God, it was just, they were so cool, calm, and collected. Like, they know that they've lost so many of these games. And like, okay, if this is any normal home game, like, we want to play for the pride, but it's almost like bringing an FCS school to go play, you know, against a big FBS school in college. Like, okay, we're Appalachian State. We want to go beat Michigan, but there's like a 1 in 1,000% chance that we're going to do that, right? But it happens.
Yep, it does.
You beat the shit out of them.
It does.
So it happened. Now, the flip side of all of that, okay, and this is, you know, Kansas City being so lackadaisical and everything, like, from a different perspective, do we think that they kind of walked into it like, hey, we're going to lose this year?
I
Do
hope
we
not.
just take the loss and then we can just reset and go from there? So we know that the curse is broken and we can just move on past this shit. We don't even have to worry about, like, when are we going to lose? Because you look at all last year, it was so inevitable every fucking week of, like, the stress, the constant anxiety of,
Yeah.
like, oh my God, we're in this. And, you know, as a fan of any sport, you hate that. Like, you thrive off of it, but you also hate it at the same time because it's like, what the fuck, man? Like, when's the other shoe gonna drop? And then when that happens, like, how are we just gonna, is that it? Like, does it happen in week 3? Does it happen in week 7? And then we just suck for the rest of the year and then everything falls apart? Do you just get that out of the way now? Like, do you just walk into it like, hey, this is just a game. We're not even going to worry about what it is. We're not going to worry about last year. It's just a game. We're going to let it be what it is. And if we lose, we lose. If we win, we win. But if we lose, we can just scrub it off and we can take everything from that and learn from it. But the curse, it's there. We don't have to worry about it on our shoulders. Going into the next week, it's a fresh slate. We are now playing for the end of the season. We don't give a shit about when we're going to lose. We already know that it happened.
I mean, I hope they don't go into that. Like, I don't think they are. I think there's still a lot of animosity and a lot of sour taste in their mouth from what happened in the Super Bowl, obviously with the year that they had, winning all those close score, you know, 1-score games. Like, again, I pegged them not as a 2-loss team. I pegged them as like a 5 or 6-loss team last year because there was some games that definitely they should have lost. They should have lost the Raiders game. They should have lost the Denver game. They should have lost the Chargers game. They should have lost the Atlanta game. But I've already gone into that why I thought they were going to lose them, but they didn't. Like, they pulled it off. They, you know, some luck has to be involved in it. But I think soul-heartedly that this game, the Chargers came into it and they're like, hey, we're tired of losing these fucking 1-score games to Kansas City constantly. Like, we just can't seem to, like, get over that hill. And I'm happy for them. They did it. They got over it in their own way. That we didn't do it. Like, obviously, coming out flat, not playing very well does help. All the penalty stuff
They were
does
just
help,
consistent.
but they just
They weren't.
consistently move
They're
the
not the
ball.
best team in the league. Let's be real. All right, it's the Chargers. They're not the best team in the league, and I don't think
Right.
that they're going to be a playoff contention team or anything like that. But they came out and they just played consistent. They stuck with the basics. They had, again, great play calling. They were prepared. They were ready to go. And at the end of the day, the Chiefs played from literally on their back foot, and it was an entire, like, the whole team was scrambling. And
Yep.
the Chargers didn't have to do anything crazy. They just played. And
Nope.
if the Chiefs would have just settled the fuck down and not had the issues and just played to their strengths and just went to the basics and did what they're supposed to do, might have been a better game. I agree. There's a lot of things that are kind of up in the air. Like, what are we going to do next?
Yeah.
That
Yep.
brings us to the next part. I mean, yeah, we did the show Thursday, kind of in the middle of the game. We didn't really get to talk a lot about the game because we had so much other stuff going on.
Yeah,
We were talking about,
it was kind of hard to do that.
but we talk about it real quick, and then we'll kind of bridge it over to, the upcoming game between these two teams, and then we can go from there. But Thursday, I mean, Eagles fan, I love it. I hate the fucking Cowboys. I knew that was going to be an ugly game. There is way too much hatred on both sides, and it was very obvious in that entire game. Dak Prescott is a fucking bitch for starting what he did. Jalen Carter getting ejected. We talked about that. Like, you can't be the guy that's reactionary because you're the one that gets hit for it. Did see today that the NFL counted that as a suspension. He's not going to miss any games. Good on him. Let's not do that again. You could tell after the penalty, by the way, as he was walking off the field, like, he knew he was fucked up. He was stupid. He shouldn't have done it. Like, he knows he's better than that. I mean, fuck, he's a Super Bowl winning lineman. Like, we don't do that. I want to say that we played well, but at the same time, we did not play well. And I think part of that, just for me, as a diehard football fan and somebody that is so used to having hatred in rivalries, right? I have to deal with the Miami and the Florida rivalries and all of that. There's pure hatred. And when those teams meet on the field, it's hatred and it's emotions and it clouds everything. And I don't care how good the coaching staff is, you can't fix all of it. You can try to coach against it and do what you can, but emotions are going to run high. There's a lot of hatred on both sides.
Yeah.
You could see it on the Cowboys side too. They were very chippy. There was just a lot of shit from everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So it made for a sloppy game. It made for a lot of penalties on both sides. It was just a lot of shit. But at the end of the day, they still managed to make it work. They came out of the second half. It looked really bad in the first half. I was very concerned because the defense was like a sieve. My boy Zach Bond putting up 9 tackles, like 6 solos. Like, the dude outdid himself. But even, with the way that some of these veterans were really putting in the time, there was just a lot of just miscommunication, a lot of bad play. And it's to be expected. First game of the year. Don't expect it to be, and you're not playing. It's not like you're playing the Cardinals or somebody that you're going to be kicking the shit out of. Like, you're playing.
Like, this team knows you. This team knows what you like to run.
You're playing your rivalry on banner fucking night. It's not. This is not going to be an easy cakewalk win. Like, this is a bloodbath to start the season. Not like it's week 5. But for them to come out in the second half and that defense just put them away says everything you ever want to know about Vic Fangio. To put it in perspective, the Dolphins wanted him gone. The Dolphins said that Vic Fangio is the reason why our defense sucks. They wanted him gone so badly, and he wanted to go back to Philly. We brought him to Philly, and we win a fucking Super Bowl. And it showed coming into that second half where Vic Fangio could very quickly make adjustments and get those guys on board and get their shit straight. Like, we're not fucking doing this shit. And they pitched a fucking shutout the second half of the game. Offensively, not too bad. I'm good with it. Jalen Hurts doing what he did. I mean, he put on a show. Like, he was all over the place. He was doing Jalen Hurts things. They were pretty consistent. Obviously, there's a lot to work on both sides of the ball, and I think a lot of that's just the chippy bullshit. We got that out of the way. We're going to go play a rematch. We already know we can beat the shit out of the Chiefs. We've done that. We've had some changes on on both sides of the ball. But at the end of the day, what did we lose, right? I get it. BG retired, but he didn't play most of last year. The people that played most of last year are still on the team. Like, we signed these guys. We've got great guys on there. We have full confidence on both sides of the ball. So, again, what did we really lose here?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Is like,
Kellen Moore? Like, are we concerned about Kellen Moore? Well, look at our play call from Thursday night. Play calling wasn't a problem. Execution of the plays wasn't a problem. We had issues with the defense. Cowboys defense did a great job. I'll give them that. I don't think that Kellen Moore not being there is going to be an issue. I think the play call was very good, and you could tell that Hurts was not upset by the play call. It's not like he had a disconnect with the offensive coordinator like he did in the past. Like, he was still running the offense. He was making good calls. He was doing good adjustments, and they were able to do what they needed to do to win.
Yeah.
Bloodbath, not pretty. Bloodbath. Sunday, man, that's gonna be fun. It's gonna be rough.
Yeah. It's fun. The couple things, the whole AJ Brown situation with one catch. I'm not worried about AJ Brown. He's going to get his targets. Obviously, he's covered by Tavon Diggs. Tavon Diggs is a great corner. All right, let's not take that away. Obviously,
Right.
Saquon Barkley and Hurts decided to kind of impose their will. They put on a show. Like, it was all them. Like, the one
You
thing
could tell
that
coming into the game, that the whole game plan was not built around the passing game. It
No.
wasn't like we were aiming to go and use AJ Brown or any of those things. Like, that was not the plan. We have to establish what works first. You look at last year, the passing game wasn't Philly.
No.
The run game was Philly, and that's what opened up AJ Brown and Devontae Smith and all these guys to have such a fucking phenomenal Goddard of all fucking people. All these people have such a great fucking year and put up great stats because of that run game. And you have to get that established early. You can't wait till week 4, week 5 to finally decide you want to get your run game going.
Exactly.
Because your run game is literally everything.
What did we say last week? We said whoever runs the ball the best is normally going to control the clock and win the game. Here you go. I'm going to tell you this. Eagles 302 total yards, Cowboys 307. The only thing that's alarming for the Eagles is they got to clean up some penalties. 9 for 110. Like, that's the big thing.
A lot of chippy bullshit.
Yeah, a lot. Like you just got to clean that up, and that's it. But the time of possession is astronomically 4 to 25. That means that I don't even have to look at stats to tell you that the Eagles ran the ball all fucking night. Like, that's all I can tell you. And here you go. Jalen Hurts, 62 yards, 2 touchdowns. Saquon, 18 rushes for 60 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 catches for 25 or 24. So that just tells me right there is that Philly ran the ball consistently and held the ball longer because they were able to get chunk play after chunk play. I'm not worried about AJ Brown only catching 1 pass for 10 yards. I'm not worried about Jalen Hurts only throwing for 152 yards. Like,
AJ Brown didn't come out pissed off now, did he?
No,
he didn't come out and run his mouth. Fuck no. He knows.
Like, the Eagles defense is very gritty. All right. Like, let's not forget the Eagles defense is one of the best in the league. All right. It's the first game. They're gonna have some growing pains, obviously some new different outside corners, some new secondary. So again, it's growing pains. They're gonna figure it out. Like that, like, why do you think they put these guys in this position to figure it out? And so it's like you force a late game fumble, like, obviously helps 100%. Cowboys offense just struggled in the second half. But if you look at, Dak Prescott, he threw for 188 yards. 110 of it went to CeeDee Lamb. You take CeeDee Lamb away, Dak Prescott has nobody to throw to. Jake Ferguson ain't going to do it. Pickens hasn't been there long enough to understand certain things. So I'm sure he has a very green playbook. Now.
I mean, CeeDee Lamb cost them majority of the game anyways.
He did. They had a chance to score and
4
tie
or 5
or win.
major. And I mean, like, in
4.
his fucking hands. And they teach you that. If you can put your fingers on it, it better go into your chest.
Exactly. That one that was over the middle. Like, how do you drop that? Like, how, like, I understand it's tight coverage and Dak threw a really good ball, but you have to fucking catch that. Like, you are fucking CeeDee Lamb, one of the best wide receivers in football. You have to catch that. Like plain and simple, your game is on the line. You guys have the ball. You guys got the opportunity to go down and actually win that game. And you didn't do it. Here's the thing. Like, the second half was kind of sloppy on both sides for Eagles and Cowboys. Like, only putting up 3 points in the second half. That's the way the game started, I was like, oh shit, maybe the Cowboys did come to play tonight. Like, maybe they did. And then they did the most Cowboy thing that I've ever seen the Cowboys do. They fucking shit on themselves. And Philly was like, I thought at that point, just watching Philly all of last year, they were just going to open up the floodgates and go, all right, fine, we're just going to run the ball. And then once we get down towards the goal line, we're just going to push this 4 or 5 times and we're going to run up the score on you. And it just wasn't that way because, again, we fall back to the penalties. There was a lot of penalties. There was a lot of chippy shit. There was a lot of things that took you out of that. Like, that's where I leave off on Thursday. Thursday, like again, obviously running the show and watching, seeing what happened. Obviously having that delay kind of helped us because we wrapped up the show and got to watch legitimately like the last quarter of that. And
Yeah.
so it just that's my perspective from it. Like I'm not worried about Philly. I don't think that they're in any worry because again they're a young team. Like they're gonna have growing pains. Like just
I
so
noticed in that whole game that there was no like negative sense of urgency. It's not like they were
they
starting
weren't
to
playing on the
freak
back
out.
foot. Yeah, they like
Yeah,
they
they weren't
weren't
starting
really
to
playing
freak
bad.
out. They weren't, like, yeah, things weren't working, but you could tell that they were trusting the coaching staff to make those adjustments, and you could still see it. Yeah, they didn't. It's not like they blew out the second half or anything like that, but they were testing the waters. They were trying. All right, we have these different guys, we have these different packages, we have this whole new look. Like I
Yeah,
take that as a win. Like I want them to beat the shit out of the Cowboys, but the Cowboys had a great team. They had a great offense and a great defense. That's just put it on the field. That's the way it is. And for even with mishaps or just them shitting on themselves and screwing it up, for the Eagles to take it's a new offensive coordinator, new everything, like for them to just be able to like, all right, cool, this isn't working. Let's try this. We're going to move you around. And they're making all of these adjustments in real time to tune the team
right.
to still win the game. I mean, yeah, you want to see them blow it open, but if you can tune the team in real time in the last quarter and a half to seal the deal and get them in a position where everybody's comfortable and everybody knows what they're doing, and now we got a well-oiled machine, that's scary.
Yeah, like they didn't
Because if
change
you
their
roll into
identity.
a game, yeah, you roll into Sunday now knowing that, hey, we just played probably the most brutal game that we could ever start the season with. Like, it's a lot. Okay, we talked about this before, to go to an international destination to go play a game to start your year, and they did that last year. You have no idea. Nobody's ever played in this stadium before. We don't know any of this. We're fearing for our lives. We have all of this shit going on, and we
Yep.
play Green Bay, and Green Bay wasn't a bad team. To win that, that's huge. All right, but even that was not the most gruesome, like grueling, just beat you down game that you could ever play. Thursday night was like true rivalry football. Like, we're
Yep.
going to fuck you up. So you know that you just started your season off with the worst game you could ever want to hope to play. And you made it, and you adjusted, and you turned out to be the best team. And you know that your identity can be whatever you need it to be, that you are powerful. You can make this happen.
Yeah, I mean,
And you're going to roll into Sunday for the rematch against Mahomie and all these guys. If I'm on that team, I'm not scared. I don't
well, you
give a
shouldn't
shit.
be. You shouldn't
No,
be.
like hell, this is, it's not gonna be easy, but we know that we can do this.
I mean, I know Arrowhead has this persona about it. Like, obviously, it's a really tough place to play. Like, I get it. Arrowhead is tough to play in because one,
Right.
the crowd is on top of you. It's hard to hear. It's a hostile environment. So again, I understand that aspect of it, but no way you should go into this game on Sunday where you're like, I'm worried about what happened week one. A lot of the factors that we go back to week one with Dallas and Philly, one, Jalen Carter getting kicked out early in the game kind of threw off a
Yeah.
lot of probably the defensive game plan, just like Xavier Worthy getting hurt play
Mhm.
three of the season threw off a lot of offensive game plan. Like it kind of unrattled them a little bit. Like, oh shit, you could tell a lot of their playbook was sanctioned around Xavier Worthy going
Right.
into that game. And then you lose that. But the one thing the Eagles did, they were like, hey, man, guess what? Like, yeah, we lost probably our best defensive tackle. So we're just going to fucking just keep on moving and keep on doing what we do. So I would equate a lot of Dallas' success was one, they didn't have a lot of pressure if Jalen Carter was there. If Jalen Carter was in there, they probably would have been like, oh shit, we may not be able to throw the ball. We may not be able to run. Because, Javont Williams didn't look bad. 15 rushes, 54 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like, okay, that's pretty good for first year with Dallas, like understandably. But again, Philly lost Jalen Carter early, so there's a lot of things. And then Dallas's defense, very shockingly, didn't look bad without Mike Parsons. Like we had sat here and talked, like, how is this Dallas team going to look without Micah Parsons, without one of the best defensive ends in football, one of the best guys that I've seen ever rush a quarterback, the hand ability, the hand fight, the spin moves, the agility off the ball, like probably one of the better defensive ends in football. Like he got paid as he should, and they didn't look bad. Like they didn't look like they were like, oh shit, we don't have our best defensive end. Like they looked fine. So moving to this game Sunday, Kansas City, Philly. Like I'm not worried about the game. Like I'm not, just because of what I saw week one. Again, let's not blow this out of proportion, everybody. Like this is week one. Okay. There's still a lot of growing pains. Remember, we talked about this. Your offense is going to be a little bit ahead of your defense. That's just naturally how it goes. Because defensive one, you have a lot of moving pieces. You are also trying to figure out a lot of different things, a lot of different coverage sets, a lot of different where people fit in, where people don't, where, and obviously you're going, well, you had a whole preseason and you had a whole camp to figure that out. Well, that's not always what's happening in these preseason or camp games. Like
Yeah,
that's
most of
not
the preseason, you're trying to figure out who's going to
who's going to
place
make
in your play style. That's really it.
exactly
Like, can you cut it in our scheme?
right.
And it's usually that. It has nothing to do with, are you good enough of a player to be on the team? Obviously, you wouldn't be on our roster trying this if you weren't a good enough player. But it's literally,
Where can you fit in?
you're a tad too slow, or you don't move fast enough to your left off the ball, or whatever it may be, that you're
Right.
not fitting our scheme well enough where somebody else really excels in that. And if we can't move
Right.
you from the left to the right side, then we don't have a space for you, that kind of thing. So
Exactly. So, like, I'm not freaking out because of week one. Like,
yeah.
and if I was an Eagles fan, like I am, but again, when it comes to playing Kansas City, I root for Kansas City, hands down, because I am born bred in Kansas City. I am a Chiefs fan at heart. I'm a secondary Eagles fan when they're not playing. So, like, I don't have the hatred. I hate the Cowboys just because, again, I am a Philly fan and I've just never really liked the Cowboys, but I don't have the hatred kind of like a true Philly fan does. However, going into this game, I will say this. If Kansas City this week during practice and during film sessions, which they should have had today and yesterday, and then start practice tomorrow, if they don't figure out how to get any pressure on that line, and now having obviously Philly losing Landon Dickerson, we'll have to see what happens with that with his back. I don't know if it was just a contusion or something, but he did look like he was in quite a bit of pain come Thursday night. I would imagine he's fine. I would imagine he's going to suit up. I'll have to wait till the injury report comes out tomorrow to see if he practices. But the big problem is like you have to be able to generate pressure with your front four. And especially with Philly, especially with that offensive line. Yes, they did lose Mekhi Becton, but yet they still have a fill-in piece right there that just held his own perfectly fine on Thursday night. So I'm not initially worried. I'm not worried for the offensive sake. I still think they'll be able to move the ball. I still think it's going to be a very close game. I don't think it's going to be one-sided unless Kansas City's defense plays like they did week one and they just didn't figure it out. Then it's going to be a bloodbath. It's not going to be good. You're going to let Barkley and Hurts just run all over you and dictate how this game is going to go.
And that's my other concern is I don't know, and it's not anything against Kansas City, just in general. I don't know of any of these teams that can truly put away that run game.
Well, whenever you have that dynamic of a run game, it's hard. It's hard to stop it because you have a mobile quarterback and a good running back. I mean, look what Baltimore did Sunday night. Like Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry ran all over the fucking place, and yet they still lost. You know why?
Yeah.
Because they faltered at the end. They didn't know how to put Buffalo away. At one point, you're up 40-25, and you can't fucking put them away. And we will talk about that game right after we get done talking about Sunday. But like, I agree with you. Barkley and Hurts is a dynamic duo.
Well, but you put that aside. Between you have Barkley and Hurts, and you know that they're just going to run you the fuck over. But then the scheme set that we have is, oh my God, I love it. Because they can just inject Tank or Shipley or even AJ Dillon if they want to bring his old ass out there, and very quickly just speed change. Like the whole timing of the game changes.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, and now your defense, and even I mean, you look at some of these run plays where they've thrown Will Shipley in it. I know he didn't get to play the whole game against Cowboys. He had a rib injury. We don't know if he's going to be playing back or not, but still, like he comes in, he'll run for a little bit, he gets a few yards, but it's so much faster tempo. And you watch the defense just like suddenly, like now they went from the like ground and pound to like, holy shit, we gotta back up a little bit. We gotta make sure we have contained for the speed, because if he gets behind the front five guys, he's gonna very quickly get past the linebackers, and then what the fuck now? So they back up a little bit. They kind of give that little bit of that 5 yard barrier, right? Because they got to make sure they didn't get behind them. And then now you got Saquon, just now he's 50 yards downfield because you just gave him space. Like I said, I don't know of any team that right now has the dynamic or just the fix to fully contain the whole run game, because there is such a huge dynamic between the running, the back room plus the quarterback. And we know our backup can also run and can do run the same playbook, does a great job of it. So it'll be interesting to see Sunday. You want to move on to,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to do a score prediction just because one, it at this point it's like, yeah, Daniel's going to root for the Eagles, I'm going to root for the Chiefs. Like we're not going to have this fucking internal debate. Like, it's week 2 of football. Like,
either
obviously,
way, we
like,
both win, right?
either way. But here's the thing. Obviously, I'm going to be upset if Kansas City doesn't win, and Daniel's going to be upset if Philly doesn't win. Obviously,
well,
I think
let's let me touch on that real quick before we move on. Okay, the Chiefs losing and going into an 0-2 start to the season has a much, much, much harder impact on the team than the Eagles just having a grueling starting season to beat the Cowboys. And if they lose the Chiefs, it's going to be a close game. And then what? Okay, so you're 1-1 team. What does that matter, right? Like, okay, we're still wide open for the whole rest of the year. It's two completely different mindsets, two different sets of emotions in that. Like, yeah, you want to beat the Chiefs because you just beat the shit out of them, but different team aspects, different things in place, different coordinators, all of this stuff, right? You can't look at the past, and they're preaching that left and right, that you can't look at the past. We're not celebrating the Super Bowl anymore. We're trying to aim for today's game and next week's game and so I will put that out there. Like, that's two completely different dynamics. We're going to have two completely different conversations with the Chiefs going 0-2 or the Eagles going 1-1. The Eagles going 1-1 is simply, hey, whatever. Like, let's break down where they faltered, and then we're just going to see what they do from there on out. They have the whole world in front of them. Chiefs going 0-2 is like, holy shit, what the fuck is going on? Yeah. We need to call the ambulance and figure out what the hell we're going to do to revive this team, because this is not characteristic.
I mean, the way, if they play like they did Friday night, they're staring at 2-4 record before Rashee Rice gets back. And that still doesn't fix all your problems, because if it's your defense, then you need to figure out something. You need to either go get a piece, you need to find somebody, or the season's going to slip away.
You're not putting Rashee Rice over there on the defense to help
you out.
Like,
you're not.
What's he going to do for you? So,
and then the last point that I'm going to make on this, and then we'll move on, is like, this is not a revenge game to Kansas City. I will promise you that. If you go and you ask any football team or any player on that team right now, they are not going, oh, we want to take our aggression and our hatred and everything because we lost the Super Bowl. No, I would assume, or I would hope, that they're going, they were the better team. They were the better team. This is a brand new year. Like, let's stop talking about the fucking Super Bowl loss. Stop asking me questions. Yeah, we lost. We got embarrassed. What more do you want me to fucking say? If you're going to ask me this week, oh, do you feel like it's more important that you win this game? Well, it's important that you win every fucking game, right? Like, that's the goal, because it's not last year. We're not trying to vie for a new Super Bowl from last year, because our record doesn't carry over. We all started 0-0, and now Eagles are 1-0. Kansas City's 0-1. So the pressure is more on Kansas City than it is Philly, because Philly's like, yeah, if we lose this game, all right, we're 1-1. Kansas City, you lose this game, you're 0-2, and now you're going, fuck, what more can we do? And so it's like, there's a tale of two tapes here. All right, let's not blow it out of proportion. All right, if Kansas City does go 0-2, that is going to be now a further discussion. Is this team realistically is this team looking at a rough season this year? 0-2 playing against the Chargers and Philly. And let's not forget to mention that your first legitimate 8 games, a lot of those teams are playoff teams. Your back half of your season is a little bit lighter. So if you're looking at 2-4 before Rashee Rice gets back, then that means your window of margin is very small. So, like, we'll discuss next week how the game went, what we saw. But I have no take on what this game is going to be, because
I'll leave it with this.
I don't even know what Casey's going to put out there.
An 0-2 loss does a lot to the emotion on the team, and you could already tell, like you talked about with Kelsey getting pissed off, like the emotions. There's already a shit ton of tension. It's it's your first game and you
It
guys are already
is.
at each other's throats. You go 0-2, it's going to amplify, and that only
Yep.
goes downhill. You get bad locker room vibes. We hope that none of that happens. Like, we would like to at least see the Chiefs do well this year. I would love to see a rematch at the end of the year. I would love to see how a rivalry like that could be built out. Like,
Right.
can
Right.
they be the two teams that are beating the shit out of each other every year and just kind of have a great story out of that? That would be ideal. That would love to see that. We haven't had anything like that in a long time.
Yeah, we haven't. And it's like we didn't even talk about the Drew Tranquil Chris Jones situation at the end of the game.
Yep.
Well, I pretty much explained why it was because Chris Jones is a all-pro vet player and he lost outside containment. He knows what to do, not bait from that right tackle. And that's what he did. And that is exactly why he got his ass chewed out by Tranquil because Tranquil was like, dude, what the fuck? Like, this. You knew going in on the weak side that you have outside containment with no help over that. You were the last line of defense on the outside. No one's going to be able to stop him. So again, the game Sunday is going to either have two tapes on it, and we'll talk more about it next week. But the next game that I want to run into is the Baltimore Buffalo game Sunday night. I talked about it briefly a little bit. Baltimore looked very poised to win that game the whole entire game. They were able to run the ball. They were able to throw the ball. They were able to do just about anything. I mean, Zay Flowers had a night. Lamar Jackson looked like he was untouchable. Same with Derrick Henry. I mean, like they look like the most well-rounded offensive team of anybody that I saw in week 1. And then you let your defense fucking crumble. Your defense did the most Baltimore thing that I have ever seen Baltimore do. And it's year after year after year after year, the same fucking thing over and over and over. You don't put fucking teams away. You give them the ability to come in. And it's the same thing Kansas City does all the time. They don't fucking know how to put teams away. And it's like, it's coming to the point where it's like, is Lamar Jackson and Harbaugh the right cohesive bunch? Like, obviously you have pieces around you that are filling this team to make it as dynamic and as amazing as it is. But it's like, it just seems like in those big high pressure moments, you can't fucking do it because you let a Josh Allen led team with a lot of offensive, Keenan Coleman, Shakir, Davis is back. You had Curtis Samuel. I don't even know if Samuel played, but you had a lot of these guys, Dalton Kincaid. You had a lot of these guys that are like, you don't have the prowess of like a Stephon Diggs that's there. It's like, oh shit, blah, blah, blah. Like Diggs is a good receiver or was. You don't have like a Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson or anything like that. And then their defense, like, how is their defense going to look? It's new, so young, just different pieces in different places. And you let Josh Allen come from 40 to 25 in the fourth quarter and fucking win it 41-40. And like I turned that game off at the fourth quarter when Baltimore scored to go with 40-25. I was like, there is no fucking way they're coming back from this with 9 minutes left or 11 minutes left in the game. Like, yeah, it's almost the whole quarter. I'm like, dude, you're down 15. You know what Baltimore's going to do. They're going to run the fucking ball. And sure enough, like, I had to turn it back on. Whenever I saw, I was like, holy shit. Like, what happened? So it's just, that's a little worrisome being in an AFC team, like being a fan of the Kansas City Chiefs, seeing Buffalo and Baltimore. And again, I was going into this game going, well, as long as Kansas City wins, then, both teams are going into that game going, like, we have to fucking win this game to stay up with Kansas City. Now Kansas City's going into Sunday going, fuck, we got to win this game so we can stay up with Baltimore. It doesn't matter that it's an NFC team. It doesn't matter because if Buffalo wins this week, Kansas City loses, now they're down fucking 2 games already at the beginning of the season. And that's going to be hard to come back from. Now, however, Buffalo does have a tough schedule this year. So does Baltimore. So it doesn't bode well for my confidence going up against a Baltimore and a Buffalo team. Because what Baltimore did to Buffalo and what Buffalo did to Baltimore's defense, that might be the two teams battling for just every bit of from anything. So it's just,
I feel like the Ravens defense is going to make the adjustments. It sucks that they fell apart. You hate to see that. Made for a great game, right? I mean, they're two powerhouses. You want to see it be a good game.
yeah.
It
might have been the game of the year, and that was the first game. Like,
and
it
I
could
don't want,
realistically be.
I don't feel like the Ravens defense is that bad. I feel like they just got shown up. And let's be real, it's Josh Allen. He's not a bad quarterback. The dude has great football knowledge. He's very, very, very good as an athlete. And the play calling was good. They found where they needed to go. They figured out a way to make it happen, and they picked him apart. And it does, I mean, it does help that Derrick Henry uncharacteristically dropped the ball. You get that fumble, it's a momentum swing, and it just all of those things fall into place. I don't think the Ravens defense is going to be bad. I feel like they come back out, make those adjustments. They're going to put the pieces in play like they need to. Again, yeah, new things, new players, new schemes. But yeah, I mean, you start the season off with some, I mean, absolute showcase games
Yeah.
that we normally wouldn't see for a few weeks, once everybody kind of has everything ironed out. And here we are starting it off with that. It's phenomenal. And it does. It's like, holy shit. If they're playing this way already, wow, my God, look at, halfway through the season, we're all going to be scared of some of these games. And then towards the end of the year, we're going to be all dreading having to play any of these teams. And I think we're going to see teams that we don't expect to do really well, that have consistently had issues in the stretch, really showcase this year if they're already starting off this well. And again, it all comes down to your injuries and things too. But
100%.
yeah, it's going to make for a good season, I feel.
And so, like, we leave that game, and then the last two that I briefly want to touch on, Chicago looked horrible, started out great, and then fell off. And props to Minnesota. He took advantage of Chicago. Like, Chicago was like 0 for 15, like, in the second half, which is insane. So I don't know. We literally shit on Caleb Williams. He did the most Caleb Williams thing all night. He overthrew everybody. He didn't look great. Like, I've been saying this. He's got to show. He's got to show that he has that ability to be a starting quarterback, and he has to have that ability to sit comfortably in a closing pocket and hit open wide receivers. Like, DJ Moore was wide the fuck open, and he sailed him by 10 yards. Rome Odunze, fucking in between two defenders, like, throwing the ball up. There's no way he's going to come down with that. So, like, that's again, it's going to be a struggle bus, I think, for Chicago this year if they can't get Caleb Williams to be under control and methodically move that ball, because it was realistically a tale of two tapes. The first half was very decent, very good. Second half fell apart, and it's going to be a long season if that continues. Last game, Cincinnati, Cleveland. I expected more from Cincinnati offensively, and that was awful. That was bad. You go to Cleveland. I understand Cleveland's within your division. Division games are harder, but Cleveland doesn't have the team that you have. They don't have the offensive prowess. They don't have the defensive prowess. Obviously, Cincinnati's defense is lacking a little bit. They haven't really changed. They didn't really do anything in the offseason with defense, and we know their defense struggled last year. But you also are going up against a Cleveland team that has some unknowns. They have Joe Flacco starting as their starting quarterback,
who did the most Flacco performance of all time. 31 for 45, 290 yards, a touchdown, and 2 fucking interceptions.
Yep.
And sacked a couple times. Like,
yep. So
dude ended up with a 32 QBR.
Yeah. Like, so it's like the Cleveland tried to give you that game to, like, just run away with it. And Cleveland's defense is good. Deplete is a really good corner on the outside. Obviously, you have Myles Garrett over there too as well. So, like, they are going to be a really tough defensive team this year. Offensively, not so much. Like, Quoshon Judkins, again, I don't know. Again, rookie running back. You don't have Chubb anymore. You have these wide receivers that you don't realistically know what they're going to do. And Cincinnati just looked awful. Like, they just looked horrible on offense. Like, you have Joe Burrow, who is, as some people say, the best quarterback in the league. You have Jamar Chase. You have Higgins. You have just all this prowess on offense, and you can't fucking win a game. Like,
hey,
at a blowout.
I got a stat for you. Okay. We've all seen Joe Burrow run, right?
100%.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good at running the ball. Like, he can chunk some yards, right?
He's a little bit faster than Tom Brady, but
2 carries for 3 yards.
Ooh, breaking records.
For Joe Flacco.
God.
2 carries for 6 yards.
Hey,
fucking Flacco outran fucking Joe Burrow. Okay, that's a fucking problem, guys. Like,
man,
that's a fucking problem.
Like, it's just that's what I'm saying. Like, Cincinnati, I would expect more offensively, and just, great, you won your first game of the year. Like, you haven't done that in a fucking long ass time. So congratulations. I'm happy for you. But man, if you play that way in that division that you have, that is going to be the hardest division in football this year. Is that
Can we
AFC
talk
North?
about Cleveland just not having great running backs either? I mean, or Cincinnati. I mean, well, both of them, really, honestly. Like Chase Brown's the only running back that they use. Let's talk about that. The only running back you've used, 21 carries for 43 yards and a touchdown. Cincinnati at least ran 1, 2, 3, 4 other players. They tried to do something else with it. Like there was nothing going in the running game. You have 4 guys on roster. Why are
Yep.
you not trying other things?
Yep. Especially with the 2 receivers that you fucking have too. Like,
right. Like do something else. Like come on.
Secondary should be playing back because of those receivers, so it should give you the ability to run the fucking ball, right?
Like you literally have P Ryan out there catching the fucking ball, but not running the ball. Like what the fuck? But anyways.
I don't know. But that's the last game that I would hit on. I do want to jump over to some college football. A little bit of wrap up here. We're heading into week 2 of the NFL. There is some good games coming on. Obviously, Chiefs Eagles is a good game that's we're looking forward to. We are going to cover games next week going into week 2. We're going to do an outlook depending on how teams fare. We do know, obviously, Pittsburgh started out on a great foot. Good to see Aaron Rodgers beat the Jets. I think that was, a great performance, but we'll see. We'll see how the year goes. They put on a show.
Well,
Justin
he at
Fields
least made it. He made it
Rodgers
through a full game.
He did. He made it through a full game, and good on him. But they did put on a show. I will say that Justin Fields, Aaron Rodgers, man, they lit the scoreboard up. I'm happy to see that for Justin Fields. Rough that he lost, but again, we'll see how the rest of the year plans out. So, all right, college football. Let's do it. Let's roll. Dan the Man and I have our top 25 that we feel should be in the top 25.
So we'll go back. We'll set the tone here. We talked about this way back a few weeks ago, how preseason rankings in college is just fucking stupid. Let's just be real, guys. It is so subjective to opinion, to bias, to, the way that I analyze a player's stats and the way they play versus the next guy. And it's a fucking poll, okay? Like, it's way too subjective without any concrete data. So we're basically playing fantasy football with rankings at this point, okay? So we talked weeks past about, why not cut the ranks? Like there's no rankings whatsoever, period, until after you finish week 4. So you have 4 games under your belt. A couple teams might have 5 if they do a week 0 game. But you should have at least 4 games under your belt. Then based on based on play, let's bring back the original, right? The original BCS rankings where it was not subjective, it was objective. Who did you play? How did you play? All right. If I'm playing somebody from the SEC and I beat them, that goes a long way versus me playing somebody from the MAC West or whatever the fuck that nobody gives a shit about. So taking that data, real stats, how did you play? Was it a team you should have beat the shit out of? Did you beat the shit out of them? How many players were you able to use? How well did you have your way with them? What was your struggles? Like, how did the gameplay go? And then who was it? Taking in consideration a strength of schedule to a degree, because that changes, right? I could say that my schedule is the hardest one of the year, and then 90% of those teams end up being a bust. And that does not make my schedule a strong schedule. That's a week to week observation. So we decided we were not going to do rankings. We were not going to really, we could talk about it. We could see how the AP does it. But at the end of the day, we want to do our own rankings. Now, we were not going to do any rankings until after the 4th week. We were going to kind of come together and do that together and break that down with you guys and just kind of compare. Like, this is the AP and how it's been for 4 weeks. Based on data, and just, again, this is our analysis, our view of how the teams are playing, how things are going. Side by side, where do we line out? And then we're going to do that every week throughout the year. We'll take our own rankings and see where we land through the playoffs, through the national championship, and see, would we have had better matchups? Would we have had better games? Would we have had a better, more objective ranking for all of these teams versus what the AP has? Because let's be real, the last several years, since we went away from the BCS, and even then the BCS was very skewed towards the end, there's so many mismatches and mishits and just shit games that it's bias. It's money on the line. It's all this other shit that comes in that clouds judgment. So because week 1 and week 2 has been such an absolute clusterfuck with the top 25. I told Alex today, I was like, dude, just do a preliminary. And we're not going into all of the details and all the data because, again, we don't have the data for us to go through. Just do a prelim. I want to talk about what your top 25 is, where you would place teams. And then I'm going to shit all over the AP right after that. I promise you guys this is going to piss a lot of people off, but I thought about it. And I'm going to use AP logic. I'm going to use subjective logic. I'm going to just take, just the bullshit that the AP does, and I'm going to rearrange the 25, and I'll break it down for you guys and just show you just how stupid it is because there's no fucking rhyme or reason to it. Week 2 of the year. So hit me with what you got. We'll talk about some of the other games and kind of break down a little bit as we go through this. But hit me with what your top 25 is, and then I'll go over mine, and we'll get super drunk and get a lot of people pissed off, and then I'll have to yell at them in TikTok or whatever later.
I am going to do a little screen share here, and I'm not going to show the actual realistic AP 25. We all know what the actual AP 25 is. You can compare it to what I have, and it may be very similar, and it may not be. All right. But this is where I land on 25. So please, again, remember, we weren't going to do this until week 4. This is very preliminary. I'm taking into account certain attributes, certain things that I'm looking at, and it will change going into week 4 because a lot of things happened this past weekend that we will talk about when we get to it. So here we go. So a couple things to note. My number 1 school is not Ohio State. It is Georgia. 1, they are still dominant. They are top strength of schedule, and their defense is fucking elite. Like they have a tough schedule. They play a lot of ranked teams. And again, they're coming up and playing Tennessee this week. So great game. Have them at 1. Penn State at 2. Balanced team, very tough schedule early. All right. Back end is very light. Back end is not going to be the hardest for them. So I still have them at 2. Ohio State, I have them at 3. Not because, they beat a Texas team, but because of the way that they just beat the last team. They haven't played anybody. Texas was the only team that they played, and their defense, we knew their defense was going to be good. We knew that they were going to be a very, very stout defense. It is very much improved from last year. Again, but they have a top 20 strength of schedule. So again, all my top AP 25 is all based off of strength of schedule. As of right now, when we hit week 4, it's not going to be. It's going to be based off of a lot of different factors, and it's not going to look like this. I have Oklahoma at 4. Oklahoma's strength of schedule, and they have strong wins very early, and they do have a pretty rough schedule coming up in the SEC. So I have Oklahoma at 4. I have Florida State at 5. Florida State is a shocker beyond all shocker. 1, what they just did, they just put up, I'm pretty sure, the most school points in history that they have ever fucking done. And then 2, they also beat Alabama badly. So that's why I have them in the top 5. Number 6 is Oregon. Number 7, Texas A&M. Number 8, USC. Number 9, Tennessee. Number 10, Illinois. Yeah, I have a fucking Illinois team in there. 100%. Have you seen them play? They are fucking physical. They beat the shit out of everybody on offense and defense. I have Illinois at fucking 10. LSU, 11. 12, Miami. Yeah, I don't have Miami in the top 10. I don't. Miami doesn't fucking scare me. Miami is this personified school that they want to talk and act fucking big and do everything that they can because they're fucking Miami. But here's the problem. We know they're going to go fucking into Clemson, and Clemson just had an embarrassing loss this past weekend. But they're going to go into Clemson. They're probably going to fucking lose. They're probably going to go maybe into Georgia Tech and fucking lose. I don't know. Again, I'm not that high on Miami. I don't think that they're going to continue their upward trajectory. I'm not a big Carson Beck believer, but I have them at 12. 13, South Carolina. That is a very scary, underrated team right now. South Carolina at 13. They are a really good football team, but I don't think anybody really wants to play them just because of how well they're coached. So I have them at 13. Iowa State, 14. They didn't show a lot. They didn't show a lot against Iowa, and I figured they would. I did have Iowa State winning. I knew it was going to be close, but I didn't think it was going to be the same fucking score as it was last year. I'm pretty pretty ashamed that they didn't put up more points than 16. It was 16-13, came down to the last like 50 seconds of the game, kick a field goal. Wasn't very good. I had high expectations. I have them at 14. Ole Miss at 15. Again, Ole Miss is a sneaky good team. They were good last year. They're going to be good this year. Are they going to win the SEC? Probably not. Again, they have too much competition there. I just don't think they have enough prowess and enough to get it done. I just don't. But right now, I have them at 15. South Florida just beat Florida. All right. In Florida. Okay. If that doesn't tell you how good this team potentially is, their defense fucking shut the door on Florida's offense. Shut the door. Didn't allow them to do fucking anything. And that is Florida. That is an SEC school going against South Florida. Can we see a South Florida team maybe make that college football playoff? We'll see. Here we go.
You know what's funny about Florida? Florida said that they were going to bend FSU over backwards this year.
Yeah, that didn't work.
But you know what? They can't even beat FSU spelled backwards. Think about that one.
Yeah, I know. It's just, but the problem is South Florida, again, that's where we get into these schools like a Boise State, a South Florida, a Central Florida. All these schools, they don't play in big conferences, so their strength of schedule is not always that great. So them beating a Florida team that was ranked 13 does help, but again, throughout the year, it's not going to get them high enough to get into that mix. You got in it last year, which I felt like they shouldn't have got in. I really think a lot of other teams were snubbed out of that. I'm happy for South Florida. They put on a show. They beat Florida. That was great. Notre Dame at 17. Not great. Again, these no conference teams are hard because it's like Notre Dame can kind of build their schedule as they see fit. And if I was Notre Dame, I'd be filling it with as hard as teams as I possibly can to continue making my way up. I just don't know if this year they have enough schedule strength to get them there or enough ability to win these games to get them there.
I'll say they are only 0-1. They've only played the one game. They took a bye week for week 2. So they lost to Miami and took a bye week.
Yeah. Well, I think
they're 0-1.
I think most teams, if you didn't play anybody tough your first week, you're like, fuck it, we're gonna play some like Pee-wee football teams week 2. Texas, I have them at 18.
They played the couch.
Yeah,
for
pretty
week 2.
much. Texas 18. Arch, I don't know if he's hurt. I don't know, but that throw did not look good. Seemed to hurt his elbow. I'm not sure. Maybe it's because he doesn't know how to fucking throw a football. Maybe it's because he doesn't know how to actually fucking turn his hips and throw. I don't know what it is, but the dude, we'll have to see if he's hurt or not. But 1-1, not really great. But again, strength of schedule, number 4 in the country, like pretty rough schedule, pretty tough. Obviously playing in the SEC, that does help. So again, Texas at 18, Alabama 19. Strength of schedule keeps them relevant, but that Florida State loss is going to come back to probably haunt them. Even if they win out, even if they lose 2 games and they go 10-2, that's probably going to knock them out. I don't think that they can do it. I think Alabama, again, we went over this whole thing with Kellen DeBoer a couple weeks ago, but I have Alabama 19. 20, Clemson, again, horrible loss. Didn't look great. Kind of bad to lose to LSU like that. And so it's just, I don't know. I don't have high hopes for Clemson. Utah, tough schedule, but again, you don't really play anybody. So again, it's hard for me to give that. Michigan 22, horrible loss to Oklahoma. You were the better team. Again, freshman quarterback struggled. Oklahoma's defense is really stout. So I just don't think Michigan's going to do very well this year. I just Big Ten football is defensive packed, and again, you got scary teams like Wisconsin that's not even ranked, it's not even in here, that they potentially could lose to. Penn State, like all those teams. So Michigan at 22. I have Missouri 23. Physical. They are a very physical team. Very unknown on offense and defense. They looked really good against Kansas, but that was a lot closer than the game that I really wanted it to be. I don't know how much that's going to carry over. Again, a couple games that I'm really worried about: Texas A&M, South Carolina. Those are two that I'm pretty worried about. Even Auburn, I'm pretty worried about. So we'll see. Arkansas, brutal strength of schedule, number 5 in the country. Rough. They are probably not going to be in the top 24 or 25 for long. And then I have rounding out 25 Florida. And the only reason why I gave it to Florida is because they have the hardest strength of schedule in the country. All right. And that's it. And they do deserve some respect for that. Yes, they did lose to South Florida, but South Florida's defense is really good. So that is my top 25 that I currently have right now. Again, I did not make the top 25 based off of everything that the AP does and all that shit. I make the top 25 based off of what I feel is important at this moment. And that's based off of strength of schedule. Here in 4 weeks, that is definitely going to fucking change. 100%. It's not going to be based off of that. And it's not always going to be teams that are undefeated. It's going to be teams that are maybe 3-1 or even fucking 2-2 playing against, really fucking tough teams and they just lose. Like sometimes that fucking happens, but I still have to give them props because even with the 2-loss team, there's a chance because your schedule is so rough and because the AP is a fucking joke that you may still make the college football playoffs. So, but there's my top 25. That's what I got.
All right. You ready for me to shit on the AP?
Let's do it. Let's fucking do it.
Okay. Let's shit on the AP, all right? Because let's be real here. Very subjective. And everything I'm about to talk about, I can give you a AP valid point as to why these teams are ranked the way that I have them ranked. Because the fucking AP is a joke and ranking early is a fucking joke. I do have Ohio State ranked as number 1 because they beat Texas and they are the reigning national champions. And they absolutely blew out an FCS team. They're 2-0, look good on paper. So on paper, number 1. I have LSU put up there at number 2 because they did beat Clemson. It was a tough game. LSU on paper has a great team. They're in the SEC. They have great coaching on paper. Good. They also beat Louisiana Tech. And Louisiana Tech, I don't know if anybody knows the history there. Louisiana Tech and LSU, that's a bloodbath game. That is the Super Bowl for Louisiana Tech. Every year, it's a struggle. It's always a problem. So 2-0, give them a number 2 spot there. I do have the rankings as what the AP has. So the AP has Ohio State as number 1. They have LSU as number 3. I put FSU up there number 3 because they depleted Alabama. And they absolutely destroyed an FCS school, playing 90 different fucking players, 17 of which were true freshmen. They tied the greatest margin ever for school history in a winning margin. Like they showcased out, have bias in it, whatever, because that's what the AP does and what ESPN does and all that shit. 2-0. South Florida. Not only did they beat a AP ranked Boise State, they also beat an AP ranked Florida. Enough said. 2-0. Put them up there. Throw Miami up there. They're 2-0. They beat an AP ranked Notre Dame. On paper, supposed to look good. It was a shitty fucking game, but on paper, right? Beat their FCS team. 2-0. Mississippi State I put up there. They're in the SEC. They beat an AP ranked Arizona State and they beat their FCS again. 2-0. You guys see the trend here? We're unranked. We beat a ranked opponent, quote unquote. Therefore, I should have the higher ranks, right? And then depending on what conference I'm in and all of that good shit, I get a better bid. Because again, subjective. It's however I want to look at it. Oklahoma coming in at number 7. AP has them at 13. They beat number 15 Michigan. Whooped their FCS. Good to go. Iowa State beat K-State. Yes, a lot of shitty conditions, a lot of stuff going on there. FCS and Iowa, they actually have 3 wins under their belt. Georgia, on paper, supposed to look good. They've not played anybody. They've only played FCS schools. Yeah, they put them away. Sure, they could be stacked, but how do we know? I don't have data to prove that. Tennessee, they beat Syracuse in an FCS school. Pretty much the same fucking thing. 2-0, but they're in the SEC, so hey, we got to give them the nod, right? Ole Miss, same thing. Got to give them the nod. They beat Kentucky. It's another SEC. They beat an FCS. South Carolina, SEC, beat Virginia Tech. Texas A&M only played FCS, but hey, they're in the SEC. They're undefeated. We got to put them up there. Illinois, FCS. Duke, Oregon, Oklahoma State, FCS. I have Penn State. They've only played 2 FCS schools. Nobody's. 2-0. I have them at 16. They haven't shown me anything. I don't have data to prove that they are actually worth the number 2 rank in the fucking country. I put BYU at 17. AP doesn't even have them ranked, but BYU beat Stanford. That says something to me. They're undefeated. They blew out their FCS game that they had. If Utah sitting at 18 instead of 20, they beat UCLA again. You know, that's a named school. It's usually a dogfight, undefeated. UNLV, not ranked by the AP, but they beat UCLA and 2 FCS. They are 3-0. Hey, you're unranked. You're in a big conference. You beat a big school. By all means, let's put you up there. Auburn coming in at 20, 2-0. They beat Baylor. Whoop-de-fucking-do. But they're in the SEC. We got to give them a nod. 3, beat KU. Again, SEC, I got the nod, right? Undid. Texas Tech, undefeated, big conference, 2-0, right? Indiana, big conference, undefeated, only played FCS. And then I round out my 25 with Baylor at number 24 simply because they beat a ranked fucking opponent, even though they lost to Auburn.
But it was SMU too.
They lost. Oh, but it doesn't matter. That's a Power 5 conference team. And they were ranked. So therefore, that means something. And their loss was to an SEC school. So, I mean, let's be real now, okay? Subjectively, they should at least be ranked because they still have a chance, okay? And then Texas, I put them down at the bottom because they lost to OSU. And yes, they beat an FCS school. But again, they beat an FCS school. They didn't beat a ranked opponent, so they can't be better than Baylor, right? And their loss was to OSU, but it wasn't an SEC school. That's my top 25. No fucking data out there, subjective, just like the AP, just like ESPN and all the other fuckers that are out there that want to run their mouths about these teams. There's no real fucking data put into it, in my opinion. You can run models all you want all day long, but at the end of the day, it's a fucking poll. People are physically putting in information. They're physically putting their own ideals, their own opinion into a voting system based on what they deem their vision is of how these teams should be ranked. And we're in week 2. And your rankings and my rankings and everybody else's rankings are going to be completely freaking different. And it means absolutely nothing because week 3 is about to come around the corner and it's going to blow up the entire top 25 all over again. And next week, I could take this entire ranking system, throw it out the window and give you a completely different set of rankings and make it make sense.
Let's take this. So obviously Daniel decided to go a whole different route, right? I went on this based off of strength of schedule because that's all I know. That's only data that I know right now. Like, it's not based off of the 2 teams that are, like take Texas Tech, for instance. They play 2 FCS teams. I don't know what the fuck you look like against another Big 12 team. I don't know what the fuck you look like against a SEC school. I have no idea. So again, my perspective is very different from Daniel's. But I guarantee you here come week 4, the AP is going to realign and it's going to fall suit into where Daniel and I are at very accustomedly to, oh shit, yeah, we have them ranked, but they just lost to an unranked team because they now started playing somebody in the Big 12 or somebody in the SEC or somebody in the ACC or somebody in the Big 10. And the list goes on and 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 on. All right. Realistically, having a top 25 the first 4 weeks of the season is a fucking joke. Until you start playing conference games against conference people or against other conferences with big teams in it, there is no point in sitting here and fucking talking about AP 25 right now. There is no fucking point. But let's fucking do it. Here you go. So I'm pulling up the scoreboard and the schedule for this upcoming weekend for the AP Top 25. Okay? Everyone plays. I don't think anybody's going on a bye week 3. So here you go. You got Indiana 22 playing Indiana State. Fucking Indiana State is probably not going to win that game. And Indiana's probably going to move up if another fucking team loses because week 3 is a gauntlet. Oregon, number 4, plays Northwestern. Man, rough game
there.
Tough game. Clemson plays Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is 2-0.
Tough game.
Tough game. 100% a tough game. And it's in Georgia Tech. So here's the thing. If Clemson loses to Georgia Tech, and let's remind you, I had Clemson at 20 at 1-1. 20. And they're going to play Georgia Tech, who's 2-0.
I don't even have them ranked.
So see, there you go. I have Clemson ranked because based off its strength of schedule.
I don't even have Notre Dame ranked.
Here's the thing. That is going to change here come week 4 because now I'm going to take every data point that I have through the first 4 weeks, not just based off of the strength of schedule, taking that into factor. how the team offensively and defensively played, who they played, where they played, and everything into that count. And like I said, I will put a fucking team that is 2-2 in the top 25 based off their strength of schedule and their play. Because if they lost to two ranked teams while being ranked, but they only lost by like a margin of 3 to both of them, and it was a close fought game and everything, I'm not going to dog somebody for losing a 3-point game because it was a fucking defensive battle. I'm going to dog somebody if it's an offensive battle, a shootout, and then you get shit on. That's where I'm going to fucking throw you
and then
under
the other
bus.
side of that is if you lost by 3 points to a team that was ranked and you're ranked, and then that team the next week also went and beat the shit out of another ranked team.
100%. I'm not going to drop
that just
somebody.
Looks good on me. Yeah,
exactly. I'm not going to drop somebody all the way out because they lost to a ranked team, or I'm going to drop them all the way down to fucking 20. I'm going to go, oh shit, they just steamrolled after they just lost, but the team that they just lost to also just beat a fucking ranked team by like 40. I'm going to go, well, fuck, that means that you play really well against a very tough ranked team and opponent, and it just didn't come out your way. That's it, plain and simple. So Oklahoma plays Temple. Oh boy. Wow. That's rough. Wisconsin goes to Alabama. That is my upset right there. I think Wisconsin upsets. Wisconsin is sitting at 2-0. Again, Wisconsin hasn't played anybody. This is their first big match. It is in Alabama, but if Florida State beat them the way that they did, I think Wisconsin can do too. I really do. So we may have a Wisconsin team up there. Again, that's what the great thing about the AP 25 is like, oh, like we would have never thought Wisconsin was going to be any good because you based it all off of fucking last year and what they've transferred in, and you haven't even seen them fucking play. Oh, they didn't bring in a good transfer school. You don't fucking know that. You have no fucking idea. Just like you shit on Missouri, but yet Missouri had a really good season last year. Missouri also brought in a top 5 recruiting class. They also brought in a top 5 transfer class. So where the fuck is the problem? Well, but we're not going to rank them because we don't know about their quarterback. We don't know all this shit. Well, Bo fucking looked great on Saturday. Fucking phenomenal. That 2-headed running monster that they have. They rushed for over 258 fucking yards. That's a fucking monster to have in the SEC. Okay, Michigan plays Central Michigan. Rough, man. Let me tell you. Auburn plays South Alabama. Rough. Penn State plays Villanova. Rough. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Tennessee,
which
Georgia.
By the way, Penn State, ranked number 2 by the AP, has played 2 FCS games and now going to play Villa fucking Nova. Like, when do you actually play something that's worthy of you being in rank number 2? Anyways.
Exactly. Tennessee home against Georgia. Georgia struggled offensively against some FCS schools. Did not look great. Still won. Still looked good defensively. Strength of schedule is there. Like they are going to have a pretty rough schedule this year. They play, I think, 8 ranked games throughout the year, which I don't think any of those teams realistically, if you're going off the AP, are going to fall out of being ranked because it looks good on paper and it brings in more money because you can move them to Saturday night football or, Friday night football, whatever. But Georgia goes to Tennessee. Rough game 1. Oregon State, Texas Tech. Ugh. Oregon State just got embarrassed. Like, embarrassed. Iowa State, Arkansas State. Fucking whatever. Raging Cajuns, Missouri. That's gonna be a rough game. That's gonna be tough. Raging Cajuns are good. Like they're like don't slouch. They're a good team. They play Missouri 25. UTEP, Texas. South Florida, Miami. South Florida beats Miami at home. Miami's at home. South Florida will beat Miami. Have you guys seen South Florida's defense play? Because if you haven't, go watch the highlights of the Florida game. That was fucking awful what Florida did. They couldn't move the ball. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't do anything. And the only reason why it was a low-scoring game is because South Florida doesn't have a very dynamic offense. But yet, if their defense, again, remember, folks, we've always said this fucking time and time again, defense wins championships. Defense wins games. You can't play defense. It puts all the pressure on your offense to move the fucking ball. It makes you a one-dimensional team because you're always on the back foot, so you're always throwing the fucking ball constantly. If you can't run the football, you can't control the clock, you have no passing game. Because all the defense is going to do is going to go, they can't run the ball. They're not going to run the ball because we continually keep on moving the ball down the field on offense, and they are always on the back foot. So Ohio State plays Ohio. Rough. Illinois plays Western Michigan. Rough. Ole Miss plays Arkansas. Rough. Rough game. Ole Miss may lose that. Remember, I have Arkansas ranked. At 24. They are 2-0. I have Arkansas ranked just because, one, strength of schedule, play in the SEC, brutal strength of schedule, number 5 in the country. Again, That's how the AP needs to look at doing AP 25. If you're going to release something based on the first week, it all needs to be based off strength of schedule. No objections, no nothing. Just go, who got the shit end of the stick? You got the shit end of the stick, not based off of what you did last year. I don't give a fuck. Last year's last year. You don't know what team you're going to have, but you know what schedule you're going to have. You know, like, hey, like, oh my God, you like take from Missouri, for instance, like, oh, Missouri is going to play 8 ranked games. Well, again, I don't know if that's the case, but like hypothetically, let's say, oh, they're going to play 8 ranked games. All right, we're going to put them based off of what they did last year. All right, they didn't play enough ranked games, but they made themselves in it. And then this year they're playing 8 ranked games. Okay, let's give them a nod. 22, whatever. LSU, Florida. Florida loses this game. Their season's fucking done. Done. Texas A&M, Notre Dame. Rough game. Rough. Last but not least, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, and Utah, Wyoming. Fucking stupid. So, like I said, this week is going to be rough sarcastically. Like, it's a joke. It is a joke. You're in week 3, and there's only 3 games that are realistically really going to be tough for any ranked team because they're already playing a ranked game or they're playing a team that should be fucking ranked. So it's just, it is fucking stupid. Fucking
well, like
dumb.
we talked about before, you get through the first 4 games, and yes, I'm all for scheduling one, kick the shit out of them game. Like, you got to have that early in the season. Like, you got to have that opportunity to really get your shit going, right? But you should have, even if it's not all conference play, like, you should have at least a good conference game, a shit kicking game, and then a couple other maybe non-conferences or something in that first 4 that's going to set the tone for the data for you to be ranked going into week 5 and have an actual, like, clear cut, where do we sit? If I'm playing a FCS school that I just paid $500,000 to come play me, or whoever it may be, I should kick the shit out of them. And it should show on paper. It should show in the highlights, the stats. They should be able to watch that game in no way, shape, or form be able to look and see that, yes, not only can the starting offense and defense do this, but every line of players that I have on my roster can also come in and compete. And that's why I put FSU so high up there. Do I really think that we're really at that point? No, I don't have data to prove that. Yeah, we beat Alabama, but is Alabama really that good? At the end of the day, is Alabama really that good? Were we just really that good? Right? So where's the data? And then we beat the shit out of an FCS school like we should, putting 90 different players on the field. You pretty much used your entire roster to impose your will upon this team. That shows a lot. Most of these teams didn't get an opportunity to do that. You look at a lot of the FCS wins from this last week, from these big schools that are supposed to win, there was a lot of closer games that it should have been. There's a lot of those games that they didn't put up more than 40 points and allowed several scores. So your starting offense and defense had to play quite a bit more because you can't afford to lose that. That's a problem. That looks bad. Because if I can't put away the no-name schools, what am I going to do when I have to play the big schools and maybe my starters are hurt?
I mean, why aren't we giving the nod to TCU? TCU just embarrassed Louisiana,
right?
The Raging Cajuns. They just embarrassed North Carolina. So, like, TCU, why aren't we giving them the nod? Like, they just beat two power schools, right? Like,
yep.
Man, they beat North Carolina. Okay, ACC school. Yeah, okay. It's because they don't fucking play anybody. Well, as of right now, they don't, because you're taking into account all these big Power 5 schools and all these big conference schools and just going, yep, we're going to just throw them in the 25 because, again, it's going to look good on paper. And then meanwhile, you have actual schools that aren't in the top 25 that are fucking embarrassing people. Embarrassing. For instance, Florida State. Yes, Florida State comes with the name, but they have not had a great program the last couple of years. No one was expecting Florida State to go in there and just beat the living shit out of Alabama the way they did. Yeah, it was home. It was a home game. It was rough for Alabama. You're fucking Alabama. You should win that game. So,
considering you play in the SEC in some of the most hostile environments in the country, why should that matter?
Exactly. Or like, for instance, like Arizona State. Arizona State just lost. Just lost to Mississippi State. They weren't even ranked. You don't know how good Mississippi State is. They're an SEC school, right? But yet last year you gave Arizona State the nod at number 4 because they won the Big 12. Well, I'm sorry, Arizona State didn't deserve to be a number 4.
It certainly didn't deserve to be a number 12 either. Off of what data?
Exactly.
Off of what?
So, off of last year. Off of fucking last year. So the biggest point that we're both trying to make is, like, yes, that's fine. You can look and read into the AP 25. And I know people are really fucking excited and they go over TikToks and they do lives and they sit there and they talk about the AP 25 and they talk about, yeah, they should be there and they justify this and this and that. Well, fucking stop listening to them, because they're going based off of what the AP 25 is and based off of like, oh, this is the data from last year and this is how they've looked the first two games, not taking into account like they played two fucking FCS schools that aren't fucking gonna be in the AP top 25 at the end of the year, or playing schools that you know damn well are not gonna be in the AP top 25, like Oregon State. Like UCLA embarrassed Oregon State week 1, and then Oregon State gets embarrassed week 2. So like let's fucking realistically take the AP 25 and put ranks with asterisks like right next to it at the beginning of the year. And then let's week 4, when you start hitting your conference games, then let's start building that up, because then that gives you 8 weeks of actual legitimate rankings based off of what you did the first 3 or what you did the first 4. And then you have 8 weeks of actual knowledge from the team, because you don't know what the fuck they look like. They could, like, that's like saying, like, their first 3 games are all FCS schools and you put up 90 points against every single one of them, and then you go and you play an SEC school like your first one and they fucking embarrass you at home, like, but they still deserve to be ranked because they're 3-1. Okay, all right, sounds about right. So I'm looking forward to it, though. I'm looking forward to week 3. I'm looking forward to seeing who else falls, because the first 2 weeks of NCAA football has been fucking pandemonium.
Yep.
Like, I would have never expected the AP top 25, this many schools to fucking lose. But hey, maybe Dan and I are actually saying something that is right. Stop reading into the AP 25. Like, SMU fucking lost to Baylor. Baylor wasn't ranked. SMU was ranked. Why? Because they were in the fucking college football playoffs last year. Do you know what? They were ranked this year, and now they're 1-1, and they're going to be lucky to stay in the top 25 for the rest of the year, because you are not taking into account SMU does not play in a big fucking conference.
They play in the ACC, but that doesn't mean that they're a big school. Look at Wake
Exactly.
Forest. Look at Duke. Look at these guys. Like, oh, that's fucking great. But are they a contender every year? It's like Vanderbilt in the SEC. Like, nobody expects Vanderbilt to come out and they're going to win the SEC. Like, it just ain't going to happen.
No one expected Vanderbilt to come out and beat Alabama last year, but it happened. So did you give the nod to Vanderbilt? Well, congratulations, you beat Alabama. Oh, yep, you got the nod. Top 25. And then next week, guess what they do? They get fucking embarrassed. Like, so it's just, you can't just take logic and all this shit into the account. Like, you have to take other things into it. And like, you can't realistically do it preseason. You can't realistically do it week 1. You can't do it week 2. You can't do it week 3. After week 4, you can.
Yeah, you got to have data, and you got to get the bias and the subjective bullshit out of there. It has to be objective. And if we're going to do it that way, then it needs to go 1000% to nothing but computer models, where a inanimate object with no emotion, no bias, no nothing takes raw data, can review stats, maybe can look at, actual gameplay and like whatever, however they want to program it to like review even gameplay footage, like whatever, of every one of these teams and every one of these games, and then objectively from raw data put them in a ranking system based on how they played. And if that's the way it needs to go, then the way it needs to go. But the constant week in, week out of my opinion is that this conference is better and I like this team because I like this team and blah 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 blah, that you get from the Herb Streets and all these fuckers, just feeds in to opinions to everybody, and they start buying into an opinion and they get a bias built in or a prejudice of some sort, and then there's no objective looking at the data. There's no objective like looking at, this is how this team played today against this school, and then I also watched this school and this is how they played against this other team, and I can look at everything from an objective point to say, yes, I can confidently say that this team and this team should be in these positions, and I have nothing swaying me one way or the other. Unfortunately, human error is going to be in the middle of that. So we're going to do it our way. We're going to see how this goes the rest of the year and just kind of, come around with it. I wanted to make this kind of a ridiculous thing for week 2 just because it's ridiculous to begin with. Like, I look at the scoreboard week in, week out, and I'm like, holy crap, like, based on what the AP says, that should have been a blowout. If I'm looking at your score and you're playing some FCS school and you only won by 14 points, what the fuck happened to you?
And you're at home.
At home, and you're in a Power 5 conference, like, what's going on with you? Why are you not doing what you're supposed to be doing?
Exactly.
Right? That doesn't mean I should just automatically give you the nod. I wouldn't give Penn State a fucking number 2 rank. They haven't played nobody. Did they win the national championship last year? Do they have the best team? Do they have any fucking hope of beating an Ohio State or somebody for the conference this year?
Why I didn't give Texas the nod for being in the top 20?
Yeah, they're not going to win the SEC. It ain't going to happen.
Like
there's just no way.
It's just here. Like, the ridiculous thing is like, I'm going to coin the new phrase here. Actually, this isn't going to be ridiculous. This is going to be the new phrase. It's going to be the AD top 25. That is what it's going to be called, the AD, because this is based off of me and Daniel. That's it. And then we'll bring other people in to do votes and everything. And we'll do it like the AP 25 does. You know, they do votes. Who receives votes, they'll get in, just because we're looking at the last week that they played, not over the last 4, 5, 6 weeks, whatever, to take into account. You know, so the AD top 25 is definitely going to be very different than what the AP 25 is. Now, there's going to be some that they're like, hey, that's spot on. Like, they got that right. I'm just so sick and tired of just seeing the AP 25 destroy things. Even whenever it gets March, when we get closer and closer to the college football playoffs, like, it gets to the point where it's like, how much of this are you thinking about money versus the legitimate team should deserve to play in? Like, legitimately, the team should get to play in. Because I go back to the whole Florida State fucking snub. I understand you lost your quarterback. I get it. I understand you didn't have everything that happened, but that doesn't reason you snub a 13 and 0 that just won the ACC championship. Like, you don't do that. I don't care if it was a sloppy ACC championship. They still deserve to be in it. They were one of, I think, 2 teams that year that were undefeated, or 3. So they were of 3, and that you put Alabama in it. Like, I understand you can't put Texas in without putting Alabama in because Texas beat Alabama, and, you know, they both have the same record, blah, blah, blah. I get that, because Texas then went on, or Alabama went on to beat, I think, Georgia. So it's like, I get it. I understand. But, man,
this would be fun.
This is going to be fun. So, all right, everybody, that's all the time we got for tonight. But I want to thank you guys again for listening. We are, again, remember, coming live on Tuesdays now. Not live, sorry. I couldn't say live. But we're going to start doing recording on Tuesday nights, just again, so we can recap the weekend, recap everything. Next week, I have been putting this off for far too long. We're going to get back into some baseball. All right, we're getting closer to the playoffs. We're getting closer to things that are happening. We just have way too much that happened in the NFL and the NCAA this past week. So hopefully this week coming up, we're going to have a little bit less to talk about. Who knows? I don't know. We're going to recap the Chiefs-Eagles game. We're going to talk a little bit of baseball. And we're going to get back into some golf. We're going to talk some Ryder Cup. All right, it's coming up here in a couple weeks. Man, a lot of the USA team is playing this week in the fall league that's going on right now. So I think they're just probably trying to gear up, get ready for Bethpage. I don't know how you can, because that is a daunting golf course. But we're going to talk about that. And then again, we're going to do a breakdown again of NCAA and football. Until then, keep the rivalry alive, people. We'll see you later.
Later, guys.
Peace out.